so far today. Oh, he's got it! He's got it!
Robert Abner, 3 on the deck!
Jason Wynyard!
Gastgemeinschaft. Wir dürfen euch begrüßen. Das bin ich, der Benni, und mein Partner, der Erfahrene. Kannst du dir das selber vorstellen?
Ja, mein Name ist Peter Groenwald, ich komme aus der Zentralschweiz. Ich hoffe, ihr verstanden mein Dialekt.
Welcome everybody to the Nations Cup. The rookies were earlier, now we're getting into the pros. 6 events, combined scores with the rookies from earlier on, and we'll find out who is the ruling nation of timber sports today. My name is Troy Mannering, your host for the festivities today. For the next 2.5 to 3 hours, the action is going to be intense on stage. I'm joined by expert Jolanda Gnadinger, who will be with us throughout the day as well.
Hi everyone.
So we've got tons of action coming your way. Before we get going with that, we've got one more person to introduce you to, and that is Marcus Float, otherwise known as Floaty affectionately with us. And he is out there in the field. He'll be keeping you up to date on what's happening with all our athletes as we move through the day. Floaty.
Well, I'll be here and there and everywhere, running around backstage, trying to grab some rookies, trying to grab some pros for interviews. And I mean, just look at this scenery. Look at the sun. Look at the fans already being here. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I'll try and give you a bit of an insight what's happening backstage. So guys, I'm ready to rock, and I truly hope you are too.
We're definitely ready to go in here, and before we get those festivities happening out on stage, we have a few important individuals to introduce you to. So we're going to head over to the main stage. Just before that, though, a quick look back at the standings of the Nations Cup after our rookies were done, and Poland at the moment in the lead with 13.50 points, tied actually for Team Scandinavia. And it's just by virtue of a little bit of a faster time that Poland is in the lead. France, Italy, Germany, and Switzerland in positions 3 through 6, but there is opportunities there for all of these teams to shift and move around depending on how our pros perform today. And on that note, let's head over to the main stage and meet some of the important individuals that are going to be taking care of us here on the stage, as well as our athletes. All right, back to us first. Happy faces all around, but before that, we're going to head over to the stage shortly, and there it is. That's our stage, and you can see the various country flags locked in there, and we're going to introduce you to our judging crew first and foremost. Keeping an eye on everything overall is Spike Milton, the Global Sports Director for STIHL Timbersports. He is the overlord, as it were, here when it comes to the competition. So if there is any kind of challenge or anything on stage, then he will be the final man to make the call. Then we have our head judge on stage, Bart Janssen. He's going to be the man that everybody will look to on stage to make sure that all competition is fair. He'll have a second judge with him there as well to discuss any eventualities on stage, and that is that man right there. His name is Ruud Meijer. And a very important aspect of our competition here is the Competition Control Center. That is the electronic hub of the event where they keep a close eye on all the activities. And in there is our video judge, Nout van Liech, and he is right there. You can see him and all his camera feeds, and they have cameras that have high-speed video feeds directly to him so he can see if somebody false started or if there's a cut over the line really, really close, and he is going to be the electronic wizard in this case. And now we'll introduce you to our athletes via country and name, and our first athletes coming on stage for Italy will be Michael Delpin and Andrea Rossi. Joining them will be our Polish athletes, and at the moment the Polish team is in the lead by virtue of the activities on stage from our rookies, and that is Jacek Groenwald and Arkadiusz Drozdek. Now we have the Nordics or the Scandinavian crew. It's Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan. These two guys are friends, but they are bitter rivals at the moment. And the two of them are absolute fierce competitors. Next up, we have France, and representing France, we have Guillaume Moore and Pierre Pouy-Barré. Pierre Pouy-Barré coming on stage, followed by Guillaume. Pierre Pouy-Barré, an absolute master. Guillaume Moore presenting well at the French competition earlier in the year as well. Next up will be our German team, represented by Marcel Steinkemper and Danny Martin. Marcel Steinkemper just leaving the ranks of the rookies this year and joining the pros, and already pushing Danny Martin and making himself known as one of the future athletes of German timber sports. Danny Martin, of course, your champion from the German championships just a week ago. And last but not least, our host nation, Switzerland, represented by Christoph Geisler and Pirmin Gnedinger. There's Pirmin coming on with his signature hat, and Christoph Geisler, who has just retaken the Swiss championship yesterday, his 11th Swiss championship in his history at 48 years old, an absolute fantastic competitor. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, our judging crew and our athletes for our European Nations Pro Cup 2022 here from Weyer in Switzerland. We're looking forward to some great action. So is Marcel Steinkemper with a thumbs up. He seems pretty amped up for the action. So we have our athletes. We have our nation set up. We have some rankings already established. I mean, it's going to be a fun day, Yolanda. What do you think?
It's going to be such a tight race, so don't blink.
It is. Don't blink. Let's take a look at the competition format here, and then we'll give you a little bit of an update on how things are working with the Nations Cup. The STIHL Timbersports individual competition. In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion. So the format stays more or less exactly the same as it would be for any other individual pro competition. However, it is with 2 athletes representing each of the countries on stage today, 6 countries represented, excuse me. So it is going to be at the end about the amount of points that each country can accumulate in total, as well as the combined score from the rookies earlier on today. And those points will be added together to find out which nation is the top timber sports nation in Europe. So a lot of action coming your way. Our first discipline up next is the underhand chop. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline for that one. The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
So there's our start list for the underhand chop. Mickey Delpin going up against Pierre Puy-Barré, Andrea Rossi against Christoph Geisler, Jacek Groenwald against Pierman Gnedinger, Guillaume Moore against Arkadiusz Drostek, Danny Martin against Emil Hansen, and Marcel Steinkemper against Ferry Swan. Thoughts on the lineup here? Any of those head-to-head heats especially interesting for you, other than Pierman's?
They're all going to be interesting because they're all such experienced X-Men.
All right, here we go with Michael Delpin going up against Pierre Puy-Barré. Michael Delpin, the national pro champion for Italy for 2022. Pierre Puy-Barré, 7-time national champion. Unbelievable. He's been around for a long time. Keep an eye on him. He's got great personal best on this distance.
Go!
Pierre Puy-Barré right away with 4 good hits and chipping out nicely. Michael Delpin doing exactly the same thing on his side now. And you mentioned earlier on during the rookie competition that open window at the front or the first side is so important. It's Michael Delpin now just switching over to the backside of his, but Puy-Barré was well through there in 18.83 seconds. Michael Delpin should be there fairly soon. And hopefully we see a personal best, but I don't think it's going to happen for him today. No, it's not going to happen. He's just past the 30-second mark, and he is through in 34.12. So times aren't particularly fast for the underhand chop today for any of our athletes, actually.
No, but there's still quite a few to come, so we'll see.
This is true, but you know, you mentioned that the wood is cutting pretty well. Axe choice?
No, I think the wood is doing great, but it's one-sided kind of. So one side is great, the other is a little bit hard. So you just gotta try and figure that out before you go and chop it.
What we got going on here, a big slab came out of that, even with the nail in position to hold it.
There will probably be a DQ here because the nails need to go down further. He does have the required 6 nails in there, but he put them up too high. So we'll see what the judges say to that.
And that's Pierre Puy-Barré's block, so that would be a slap in the face for his start of competition.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1. Okay, stand 2. DQ is not cut on this side, and the nails were too high.
Well, Yolanda, you saw that right away. The nails were too high, and that made that slab come out, so it wasn't cut through properly. Let's look back at and see what actually went on. It was on the first side of Pierre Puy-Barré's block.
So couldn't get a good look at that angle, which is a shame, but we'll see it afterwards. Yeah, there now you can see how that piece is missing. So it is required that your nails go all the way down so that this does not happen, because it's an advantage for you. You don't need to do that hit on the other side.
Yeah, that's a bit of a rough start there for Pierre Puy-Barré, the first DQ of the day, and the big Frenchman gets 0 points for this one. Michael Delpin will get 33.86 seconds, and that's the time to beat as we move on to heat number 2 with the always smiling Andrea Rossi going up against Christoph Geisler, the grimace. I mentioned that yesterday, though. I mean, he's always about business in the competition, but afterwards, when he gets a chance to just breathe it out a little bit, he's got a great smile, smiling eyes, so he's a good soul.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Geisler in really quickly, feeling the confidence of yesterday's win and becoming the national champion once again for the 11th time. Andrea Rossi, though, is no slouch, and he's already on to the other side of his block. Geisler moving over. Oh, wait, Andrea Rossi started on the front side, so now he has moved over to the other side about 2 strokes behind Geisler, and Geisler gets through in 23:10. Andrea Rossi still working that second side now. He was about 3-4 strokes behind Geisler. Should be through any second now as it's looking thin and wiggly, and he goes in 34:69. Obviously not a time that he'll be super pleased with. His personal best sitting at 20.42 seconds.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
All right, so we've got a clean heat there, and right now, Italy in good positions in second place and third place in the underhand chop, and after the first discipline, that is going to be our overall ranking as well.
So you could see with those first few hits, both athletes were standing really tall, and then they changed their form and kind of went into more bent over.
Would that be recognizing that they need to get more into the block, or they need to reduce the power some? What would be the reason for that change in form?
It's just every athlete does it a little bit different. There's no right or wrong, really.
Christoph Geisler with the time to beat for the moment with 22.83. But our two Italians sitting in second and third place. Andrea Rossi there with a 34.52. And just a little bit faster than him is Michael Delpine. So right now we've got our first scores in the block. And at the moment, Italy looking very good in positions 2 and 3. But Christoph Geisler has done a great job to get himself into the top right now as we step into a bit of a look back of the history of STIHL Timbersports.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies. An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the ball to get to it.
So at STIHL Timbersports, excuse me, I'm tripping over my tongue. If you want to find out more on YouTube, and you can watch the entire documentary of the history of timber sports, and it has a long history as the original extreme sports. So it looks like we're going to go back over to the Competition Control Center and take a quick look at what's going on over there and find out what's happening in there. There's a bit of a discussion about one of the heats, and we'll find out more as time goes by. The whole crew is in there talking about what just happened, and I believe
it's that underhand.
It's that underhand chop
the slabbing rule.
Yeah, the slabbing rule that you just mentioned, and the underhand chop from Pierre Puy-Barret. So we'll get an update on that shortly here. As we just came, we just see the guys coming out of the Competition Control Center. I mean, that's a tight area with all those guys in there looking at all those little cameras, and you know, bunch of big guys in there sweating and making heat. It's not going to be fun to be sitting in there. It's like a sauna. So onwards and upwards, we're moving on to the next heat in the underhand chop, and we have Szymon Groenwald going up against Pirmin Gnedinger. Tough battle here.
It sure will be.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start. These guys are in sync with each other. Szymon Groenwald really nice on his block. Pirmin Gnedinger also looking good on the first side of his. Let's see if we can get an overall view and who's going to switch over. Pirmin is first to get over to the other side, but it's a pretty narrow first side. What do you think there?
That's right. He didn't open up very much and swell on this side, but maybe he's feeling good and thinking it's going to work out for him.
Jacek Groenwald's got a wider cut on his second side as well. Pierman close to getting through there, and he's going to do it in 30.08 seconds. Great job by Pierman Gnadinger. Jacek Groenwald struggling a bit, getting the axe caught a couple of times. It looked like it was a good cut on the first side, but now he's trying to find that line through, and he just doesn't quite have it, and finally does it in 42.99 seconds. He's shaking his head about the disappointment in that one. And
not going to be happy with that.
A quick check of the footholds. It seems like everything is okay for both of these guys.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, both cuts are good. Just a quick update. It seems like they're going to uphold the DQ of Pierre Puy-Barré after the discussion in the Competition Control Center. If anything changes, we'll definitely let you know. And we'll take a quick look back at the slow-mo of this one so that Yolanda can take apart her husband.
I can't really say much. I don't see him on the screen. There we go. So you can see his window isn't that open. He does also have a little staircase in it, but by reading that wood, he must have knew that he could pull out and switch sides so quick and get the job done.
Yeah, Jacek Groenwald had a really wide open window on that first side, and then it looked like he was doing the same on the second side, but you just couldn't find the line through the log to make that final cut. And finally does do it in a time of 42.90. So at the moment, Jacek Groenwald in 5th place in the underhand chop. Christoph Geisler and Pierman Gnadinger, 2 good times at the top of the list for underhand. And we will move on to our next heat with Guillaume Moore and Arkadiusz Drozdek.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by both of these guys. And it used to be we would say a lot about Arkadiusz Drozdek. He is one of the most fit athletes, but at the moment, all of these guys are taking so much care of their bodies and their training regimes. It's hard to call which guy is more fit or less fit than the other guy, as we see Guillaume Moore right there with Arkadiusz Drozdek. He actually moved over to the other side of his block ahead of the pole. And right now, Guillaume Moore looking good to get through this block. A little staircase there, like you say, Yolanda, but close to being done. But it's Arkadiusz Drozdek with a nice come from behind at 28.96. A step down by Guillaume Moore, and finally gets through in 34.32. So Arkadiusz Drozdek with the second fastest time in the underhand chop, just behind Christoph Geisler, pushes Pierman Gnadinger down to 3rd place. Michi Delpine, Andrea Rossi, the 2 Italians in 4th and 5th. Guillaume Moore in 6th, Jacek Groenwald in 7th, and Pierre Puy-Barré at the bottom of the list with 0 points and his DQ as we take a look back at the slow-mo.
So we see these 2 gentlemen now. Poland is a little bit slower, but he must have had that much more harder hits, which pulled him through and to win this heat.
Yeah, you see he's 2-3 strokes behind as he came around the other side, but he was just that much faster on the second side.
That's right, and that balance there.
All right, so right now we've got ourselves, 4 heats done and dusted. We've got some rankings set up already. Just to give you a heads up, Christoph Geisler at the top of the rankings for underhand chop, and then you can see the that is the underhand chop. Arkadiusz Drozdek in 2nd place, Pierman Gnadinger, nice, in 3rd place. So the 2 Swiss guys in 1st and 3rd, keeping the points up for them at the top of the list at the moment, with Arkadiusz in the middle. So it's an Arkadiusz sandwich, and a lot of people are saying, hey, that's some pretty nice wood on stage. Where'd that come from? So, well, let's find out right now.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition. We need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL TIMBERSPORTS competitions.
Two more heats to go. In the next heat, Danny Martin from Germany going up against Emil Hansson from Sweden. Couple of strong boys coming up onto stage right now. This should be an interesting one. Danny Martin, the faster of the two by the tail of the tape, with a personal best of 20.36. Personal best for Emil Hansson at 23.52. Emil will be representing Sweden at the individual world championships. He's as their national champion.
To your timber.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Big draw up on the axe by both of these guys as they start to hammer in their first drivers. Danny Martin looking very good, very accurate, nice wide window. Emil Hansson a bit closer on his, and they both move over to the other side of their blocks at the same time. About a half stroke ahead is Danny Martin. Emil Hansson coming in strong on the second side, though. Danny Martin getting close to being through, and it's Emil Hansson with a 25.39. Seems like that stage number one side is a bit slower for everybody today. Danny Martin with a 29.82. He'll look at that and go, whoop. Emil Hansson with a good cut, though. Puts him in second place at the moment in the underhand chop results with a 25.39 second time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
The call from our judge, Bart Janssen. Both cuts are good, but the look on Danny's face was, nah, they weren't. So he'll definitely want to have that one back again. But at the moment, Danny Martin sitting in fourth place in underhand with a 29.45. Let's look at this again.
So if you take a look at Danny's log, his markings right there, those blue lines, he does that so he knows approximately where he wants to hit. And you can see from his training, he's so accurate.
Yeah, what is it you said? Those sides should be smooth as a baby's bottom?
That's right.
And there you see the cuts from Emil Hansson on his block. And he just manages to get through in a 25.31. So Christoph Geisler still with a time to beat today of 22.83. Emil Hansson about 2.48 seconds behind him. And we're going to head over to Marcus Float right now. And they're going to get a call on our next heat between Marcel Steinkemper
so
and
by my
Ferry
side
Swan
now,
from
Danny
them.
Filwert. He's already been competing this morning for the rookies, and he's going to be watching the pro, his buddy Marcel Steinkemper now, and giving us a bit of insight how he feels. Und jetzt ist neben mir, ja, der Danny Filwert. Du hast heute schon am Vormittag die Rookies bestritten, du warst schon voll im Einsatz. Jetzt werden wir uns gemeinsam mal einen deiner lieben Kollegen anschauen, nämlich den Marcel, der bei den Pros bereits im Einsatz ist. Es ist seine erste Saison und gleich gegen Ferry Swan, hartes Ding, oder?
Genau, ja, aber das packt der Marcel. Ich drücke die Daumen. Sehr gut, der Marcel nimmt schön die Axt hoch, macht die Öffnungsschläge gut, passt die Frequenz passt. Jawohl.
So the opening seems to be very important. The axe has to be very high and then the pace. Dann geht es auch viel um die Geschwindigkeit. Ne?
Richtig, die Frequenz ist gut von ihm, er bleibt gut drauf, er zieht gut durch, die Axt ist immer noch perfekt oben. Jetzt die Kraft kommt gut ins Holz. Genau, jetzt ist er schon bei den Drive-Schlägen. Sieht sehr gut aus.
Ich meine, gegen einen Ferry Swan so ein knappes Rennen zu liefern, da kann man, glaube ich, zufrieden sein.
Genau, richtig. Hat der Marcel sehr gut gemacht.
He was very pleased with his buddy's performance. Marcel, of course, it's his first season from the rookies to the pros, and I think he's done a great job so far. Also, ich glaube, mit seiner ersten Profisaison kann er sehr zufrieden sein.
Sehr, der Marcel trainiert hart viel und das belohnt er sich hiermit, genau.
So it's us two against the rest of the world. Is that how you feel? Ihr zwei gegen den Rest der Welt so ein bisschen, dass du jetzt nächstes Jahr auch bei den Profis dann einsteigen kannst. Das ist ja das große Ziel, oder?
Genau, das ist jetzt das gesetzte Ziel und das versuche ich umzusetzen.
Drücken wir dir ganz fest die Daumen. Danke, dass du das für uns kommentiert hast. So it's the rookies together with the pros in this Nations Cup, and this is what it's all about. He's very pleased. Let's find out what they have to say behind the scenes later on, and it's back to Yolanda and Troy.
All right, thanks, Marcus. We're going to take a quick look at the slow-mo here of that battle, which was really, I could say, a titanic battle of blows in this case.
It was so close. You can see that both of these athletes have come from the rookie academy and done all those competitions and are now in the pros and showing what they've got. Obviously, Ferry's been around a little bit longer than Marcel, but both of them true champs.
Yeah, they both have competition experience on the pro level. Ferry Swan a bit more, and I mean, Marcus mentioned this is his first season as a pro, referring to Marcus Steinkemper. Yeah, that's true, but he hasn't actually had a full season as a pro. So Marcel, excuse me, is just actually only about a half season into his pro career. So that he's showing that well here says a lot about what he's taken from the rookie academy, from his time as a rookie, and moved it into the pros and translated it very well.
That's right.
All right, so our next discipline coming up is the stock saw. Let's have a quick look at the tool and discipline that the athletes will be using on stage for that one. The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks. All right, folks, there is our stock saw start list. Delpine, Rossi, Geisler, Gnedinger, Puy-Barret. Quick note on Puy-Barret, there was a large discussion that paused us for a brief moment there just after the underhand chops fourth heat. Puy-Barret questioned whether or not the DQ was valid, and this is again the reason why we have Spike Milton here. They all went into the competition control center, checked it out, and it has been in fact overturned. So Pierre Puy-Barret's DQ is no longer. His time counts, so he does have the fastest time of the day in underhand chop of 18.47. And that means he is in the lead, and we take on our next discipline, stock saw, with our first heat, the 2 Italians going against each other, Michael Delpine and Andrea Rossi. Interesting turn of events there. It does happen, but it doesn't happen very often because usually our judges are pretty on point with their calls, correct?
That's right, yes.
Warm up yourself.
So Michael Delpine getting a couple of practice placements there. There you see Andrea Rossi getting ready.
Stand
Here we
to
go.
your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
First cut's looking good for Delpine. That is a beautiful cookie. In fact, the upcut there for Andrea Rossi. Also looking nice and thin. Hey, wow, how was that for close run? 11:32 personal best for Michael Delpine. Fantastic. Andrea Rossi with an 11:56. Quick adjustment on the time after the control centers had their way with it, and Michael Delpine now with an 11:19 personal best, and Andrea Rossi with an 11:46. That was close, folks.
They'll definitely both be happy with that for their ranking afterwards.
Absolutely, and just so that you folks out there know, these are the saws that you can buy in your local STIHL dealership. No modifications have been made to the chain, the bar, or the motor, so it's just what they call it, a stock saw.
That's right, and look at that changeover. It's so quick.
Wow, and that was a close finish for both the guys. The second cookie by Michael Delpine was a bit fat, but that second cookie for Andrea Rossi, wow, that was thin to win right there.
It was.
Too bad he just wasn't a hair faster and gotten it close. All right, Switzerland going against each other this time. Christoph Geisler up against Pirmin Gnedinger.
Jetzt auf die Bühne kommen unsere beiden Schweizer. Christoph Geisler und der Pirmin Gnedinger. Heißen wir sie willkommen mit einem warmen Applaus.
So I don't know if it's more stressful going against your countrymen or going against another country.
I don't know. I think I would be a little bit more stressed going up against a fellow countryman, to be honest with you.
But where they're both competing for the same team here, I don't think that stress is going to be that big.
Correct. That's actually a good point. I didn't think about it that way. I guess if it was just an individual competition, it would drive me a bit bananas. But that, as this is the Nations Cup, they want to try and get good points for the nation in general. So now what you're going to get to see is the practice hand of Christoph Geisler on the stock saw.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by both of these guys. First cookie's looking good. Nice transition for Gnedinger there, as well as for Geisler's close one. And Pirmin gets a personal best. 11.43, fantastic, and a 10.86 for Geisler. That puts Geisler in the top spot of the stock saw results, and Pirmin in third place, just behind Michael Delpine.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
So at the moment in the overall standings, Christoph and Pirmin are 1-2. Michael Delpine and Andrea Rossi are 3-4. That is cool with 2 heats done and dusted. And I do believe that Marcus is with Pirmin, and we'll get to them after the slow-mos here. Let's pick this apart a little bit.
So you see they both have a similar technique with the saw. Both of them use about the same angle.
Very quick to get on there from Christoph Geisler. That's the view from Pirmin. That transition from Pirmin was really nice.
For that, this is not one of his favorite disciplines. I bet you he's going to be happy with that personal best.
A personal best has got to make him happy every single time.
One of my favorite athletes, einer meiner absoluten Lieblingsathleten. Pirmin, ich habe mich dir schnappen müssen. Du hast ein Heimspiel hier und gleich ein Personal Best. Da scheint die Sonne, oder?
Ja, das ist super. Solche Zeiten zu hacken und zu schneiden, fantastisch. So, ja. Gestern war der Wettkampf nicht so gelaufen, aber heute passt's.
We had a short talk just before the competition started. He said yesterday wasn't perfect. Today it seems to be quite a different Pirmin. You're enjoying yourself. You're giving your personal best. So I think you can be very pleased. What is going to be the goal for today in front of your home crowd? Was wird das große Ziel sein heute hier vor deinem Heimpublikum?
Ja, sicher gute Zeiten zu hacken und zu schneiden, und das andere werden wir sehen.
Noch ein Personal Best vielleicht?
Vielleicht, wir werden sehen, aber super Leute hier, tolles Wetter. Was willst du mehr?
Nothing more to wish for. The crowd is great. The weather is awesome. Pirmin, best of luck for the coming up events.
Vielen Dank.
Yep, he looks pretty pleased with that, but in typical Swiss fashion, keeping it all a little bit under the skin, you know, a little bit held back. Interesting.
Competition's not over till the competition's over.
Competition not over till the fat lady sings, or in this case, the fat man in front of the camera says goodbye. Okay, next up, we have Pierre Puy-Barré going up against Guillaume Moore. And so far, it's been countrymen against countrymen in the first 2 heats, and that's the same thing happening in the third heat, as we get ready for the 2 Frenchmen to go head-to-head here. Again, remembering that this is about the fastest time, so if these guys can push each other a little bit, you know, and in the case we were talking about what's it going to feel like to be out there with a fellow countryman, perhaps the concept here is to try and push the other, your fellow countrymen to get a fast time, so that both of you have a good time on stage.
Your timber.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, Puy-Barré with a bit of a chunky start there as Guillaume Moore got that saw in quickly. It looks like he might have grabbed actually the break, but transition to the upcut was nice. And Guillaume Moore with a bit of a slower time than Puy-Barré, even with the fumble at the beginning. So an 11.24 Puy-Barré and Guillaume Moore with an 11.85, and there's been a few changes in the stock saw after the competition control center has double-checked the timing.
Gentlemen, both guys are good.
We'll update you on that in a second. And again, Puy-Barré lucky to have that DQ from the underhand chop overturned and get a good time. And at the moment, that puts Puy-Barré in the top of the standings, tied with Christoph Geisler for 23 points as we look back at the slow-mo here. Yeah, it looked like he did get the chain break, didn't he?
Yeah, he was so slow, but in the end pulled through. So let's just see his changeover here. Very quick.
Yeah.
So quick we didn't even see it.
We blinked.
You can see how the cookie's kind of standing up against it there. It's always tricky, not that it gets kind of stuck under and then the other one doesn't drop.
Yeah. All right, next heat up. Heat number 4 with Poland's Jacek Groenwald going up against Emil Hansson. Look at that time by Emil Hansson, 9:44. Not quite as fast as Norway's Ole Magnus Berget, who has the world record in stock saw of 8:51, but quite a nice time nevertheless.
Okay, gentlemen.
Emil put a lot of pressure on Ferry Swan at the Nordic Championships, and Ferry was gutted after that competition. I asked him how he was doing today, and he says, yeah, I'm okay, but you know, it could be better.
Athlete ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by both of these guys. Jacek Groenwald making a step forward with his outside or left foot. That can sometimes put your line off a bit, but it's Emil Hansson with a good time of 11.56. Not as fast as he would have liked it, and not the fastest time today. He's right around mid-low field here in 6th place. Maybe with an adjustment, it'll happen to go, yep, with the timing adjustment, he does move up to 4th place with an 11.39. Jacek Groenwald, 12.65.
Both guys are good.
So there you can see in that orange field with the white number, 3rd. That is the position in the overall standings for Emil Hansson. Oliver Reinhardt is making me a bit jealous eating a Schlaschlik stick outside our window here. There you can see the slow-mo start from Emil.
That's right, and you can see how that saw is so quiet in the wood. It's not moving back and forth. It's not vibrating, and that you can see is such a big difference to the rookies this morning.
Yeah, we could see a couple of the rookies, they were actually sawing it back and forth. I don't think they were doing that on purpose. It was just the chain dragging the saw in, and they were trying to control it, right?
That's right.
All right, next heat up. Arkadiusz Drozdek against Ferry Swan. Ferry Swan with a solid personal best of 9.71. Arkadiusz with a 10.44. I'm going to predict a personal best from one of these guys in this one. Just going to take a flyer on it to see what happens.
All right, let's see.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up yourself.
That's the practiced hand of Ferry Swan. So accurate with how he moves that saw.
Athlete ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, good start by Arkadiusz. That's a bit of a fat cookie, though, as he's got an angle going down. Hopefully that upcut's going to be clean. Solid. Ooh, Ferry Swan's got a super thin one on the upcut, and no personal best. But it's an 11.41 and 11.41. Holy smokes, that is a tie game right there. Close check on the cookies. Let's see what kind of adjustments they'll give it in competition control center at the end as they both look up at the clock and give each other a grin.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. do the same time. Both cuts are good.
So those adjustments were actually made after that. So we saw 11.41. It got adjusted to 11.27 each. When was the last time we saw that?
Unreal.
How evenly matched was that heat right there?
So you can see Ferry has quite the angle on the saw. So that means he has to be a little bit lower down to grab the saw and place it on the wood.
That was a great second cookie by Ferry Swan, though. Almost looked like he was going to have a cutout there, which would have been terrible for him, but he kept it safe. Okay, the last heat in stock saw between the two Germans, Marcel Steinkemper and Danny Martin. Marcel struggled with this discipline in Germany last week. I don't know what happened there, but he just wasn't feeling it. Danny Martin's always good with a motor saw in hand. This is an area where he tends to excel. Danny Martin's personal best, 8.63. Marcel Steinkemper, when it's running correctly for him, is a 10.04. Maybe in this particular instance, he'll feel good about being on stage with a fellow German.
Yeah. Maybe there'll be a new personal best here, you think?
You're going to throw that one out into the pond, hey?
Athlete,
Here
ready.
we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, this is a better start by Marcel Steinkemper. It's a bit of a fat cookie for him as well. It's about the transition now, and he's got a clean transition on the upcut. Danny Martin looking good as usual, and Marcel Steinkemper right there with him. An 11.85. Danny Martin with a 10.93. Well done for both of these guys. Danny Martin with the second fastest time on stock saw results so far. Christoph Geisler still holding the top time, but Danny Martin with a 10.99 in second. Marcel Steinkemper with an 11.72, 1 second off pace, and he is down in 10th place. That is unbelievable how close these competition cuts are for these guys in this discipline.
So this is where strength does not come to play. It's really listening to that saw, making sure that it's really cutting wood and it's not going to bog out. You're not putting too much pressure on it, allowing you to get a perfect time. So you can be little, tall, strong, weak. This is everyone's game.
You can see right there, Marcel kind of ran the saw motor, the saw body against that block, so it slowed him down a bit on the upcut. Danny Martin, great form as always, and right away, quick check of the time after he makes that final cut. He knows the cut was clean. He didn't worry about where the disc was, what happened with the disc. He looked up and he knew he was good to go. Okay, so here we go with the stock saw results, and then shortly after we'll look at the overall. Christoph Geisler, top time with a 10.72. Danny Martin with a 10.99, Puy Barret with an 11.02, and Michael Delpine with a personal best 11.19. Rounding out the top five is our Pole, Arkadiusz Drozdek with an 11.27, who was dead even on time with Ferry Swan. And in the overall standings, that leaves Christoph Geisler on top of the overall standings. Puy Barret right behind him. Lucky to be lucky in this case because that DQ got overturned from the underhand chop, so he does have a time. 22 points for him, and then a few points back with 17 points is Ferry Swan. So it's still wide open. There's still a lot of action, but we are still in round one of our competition here with one more discipline to come in that first round, and that is the standing block chop. And let's take a look at the nation's ranking for the moment. Team Scandinavia moving back into the top spot, pushing Poland down to fourth place because France and Switzerland both performing very, very well here today in the first two disciplines. So France in second, Switzerland in third. And it looks like our stage is ready for standing block as we will head over to the stage and our next discipline. Let's take a look at that right now with the tool and discipline clip.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So we already know about the axe. It's the same concept with the axes as it was on the underhand, but here standing block is cutting through a vertically secured block. Arkadiusz Drozdek going up against Pirmin Gnedinger. We saw our Pirmin competing in this one yesterday, and we kind of gave him a bit of a hard time about not having the greatest standing block chop. What do you think is going through his mind right now?
He's going to take that block down. His underhand was good, so I'm assuming he's going in thinking
Nothing
new day,
to lose.
new time.
Yeah. Tail of the tape, Arkadiusz Drozdek a little bit faster. But as we've seen all weekend long, the tail of the tape doesn't necessarily mean it's the end-all be-all. Looks like also Arkadiusz Drozdek has managed to get some new ink on that right arm of his.
Okay. Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so we start our third discipline in round one, and this is where we're going to see who gets eliminated from competition and who continues on among the top 8 athletes into round two. Arkadiusz Drozdek moving over to the second side of his block here. It looks like Pirmin's got a bit of a lead on him, as already on the second block side by about 3 or 4 drivers. Arkadiusz pushing hard to get through there. Pirmin looking like he thinks he's got it, but he needs a few more drivers to get it. It's going to be Arkadiusz Drozdek at the same time almost as Pirmin Gnedinger with a 31.92 to a 32.31. There'll be some adjustments there, but you saw him. He thought he had it on a couple of drivers there. It's like, it's not going. Why? You can see the look on his face as he took a quick look up at the time. Let's be a little bit more critical on the slow-mos. So official times now, 31.79, 32.19. So close between these two guys. Only 0.4 of a second separate them. Actually, Pirmin was faster on the initial driver and got into it quicker. He was faster to the other side, but then I think he just anticipated that block coming off too quick.
Yeah, it already started to vibrate a little bit, but there's still too much wood there.
Should he have taken 1 or 2 more drivers on the first side, do you think?
His first side did look like he did pretty cut in far enough. It just might not have opened up enough on the second side.
You could see it wiggling there a little bit, and it finally came off for him. But yeah, he really wanted to have that like 2 strokes beforehand. You could see he took that driver and then stepped away. It was like, wait, what? And then went back to it. So, all right. Next heat coming up, Christoph Geisler going up against Szymon Groenwald. So right now, Christoph Geisler in the overall standing is in the lead, so that's fantastic for the Swiss crowd on hand. Szymon Groenwald with a personal best 18.57 in this discipline.
To your timber.
Pretty close, actually,
3,
these two guys.
2, 1, go!
Still amazed at how much accuracy and power Christoph Geisler can put into those blocks. Groenwald moving over to the other side, 2 strokes ahead of Geisler as he starts to work on his second side. Christoph Geisler really going for it. The power of Groenwald coming into play here, though, as both of them pretty evenly matched up as they get close to blocking those things. Geisler looking close, Groenwald looking close. Who's it going to be? Who's going to drop it first? Oh my goodness! It's going to be Geisler just by a hair! 36.13 to 36.91. Another close battle between 2 absolute warriors. Wow. Christoph with a 36.13, Jacek with a 36.91.
Okay,
it looks like those are going to stand as official times.
Good.
Wow, so close.
Nope. Change of times, 36.54 to a 36.79. Still same positions hold. And Christoph Geisler still holds on to that top spot in the overall standings. So you can see in the slow-mo here, these two guys just going for it.
So the second side is going to be interesting to watch because both of them thought that they could drive it off. but then realized, oh no, we've got to do one more hit from bottom up to get some of that wood out of there. So there you see, you start driving, Christopher drives again, then realizes, oh no, he's got to do one more bottom up, and then hits it off.
And it looked like it peeled a little bit of the wood off with it as he went down onto the deck there. And here we see Groenwald's. I mean, that was an amazing couple of heats there, actually. Two really, really close battles between four guys that just were, that was madness. So you saw those chips flying off the wood. You see all the sawdust that's on stage, and a lot of people often ask, okay, what's going on here? With all of the talk about environmental considerations and safety and plastic in the environment and all that stuff, you guys are wasting wood like mad for these competitions. Well, it's not actually the case, because our wood is harvested environmentally and it's used sustainably, and we want to explain a little bit more about that so you guys don't have to worry out there. Check this out.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
Our new innovative cutting attachment delivers maximum performance, cut after cut. Up to 20% better cutting performance. The new STIHL cutting attachment, only from approved STIHL dealers.
All right, standing block chop continues with heat number 3. Guillaume Moore from France going up against Germany's Marcel Steinkemper. Marcel, very, very good in this discipline, actually. Showed a lot of gumption in Wernigerode at the German championships in this discipline after absolutely dominating in the underhand chop. The only thing that really caused him problems there was the stock saw.
Athlete ready.
He was great in the
to your
timber
timber.
as well.
3, 2, 1, go!
Yes, hit for hit. These guys are in sync with each other. Guillaume Moore now picking up the pace a little bit. Marcel Steinkemper, nice big wide open window there. Moves over to the other side. Do you think he's done enough?
That was a big hit, that last one, so that could have been enough.
Guillaume Moore looking good. Steinkemper also looking good. He's trying to drive that off, and he's got it. Guillaume Moore, 24.96. Steinkemper, a big sticker there as he is getting past the 30-second mark. He's definitely not going to be happy with this, what's just happened. He tried a little bit too hard on that second side, and now he's got some problems with the axe getting caught, and finally drops it in 40.97, a shake of his head. He knows that is not his best performance on standing block. Steinkemper with a 26.08 as his personal best.
Ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
Yeah, he's going to be upset with himself on that one. And my question is, where did it go pear-shaped for him? Because you mentioned that the first side looked really good. That last driver up was a nice clearing driver. So let's have a look.
So we'll see once we get to the other side by Marcel. The second hit before second and last hit, I don't think that went all the way out. So it's very important that the axe is always looking out just a half a centimeter on both sides when it's coming to the edge of the block, so that you actually cut that wood.
And those minor adjustments, middle of a competition, are just absolutely insane that you think that these guys are making that on the fly to make sure that they're cutting exactly right. A little bit of a hop right there. Could it have been too flat?
That could have been, but you could see before the last hit that he had made, it really went in, and on the top side, I don't think he cut enough before he switched. So you can see how the rip, like it rips through already.
Yeah.
But the back, there's so much wood left there.
That's a large chunk there. You need to have way more power in order to be able to get that
Indeed.
through. All right, speaking of power, here's a couple of power hitters right now with Michael Delpine from Italy going up against Danny Martin from Germany. Two pretty close personal best times, 24.62 for Michael Delpine and 22.51 for Danny Martin. Danny Martin's a guy that definitely prefers, or not prefers, I wouldn't say, but is very adept at the motor saw disciplines and depends a lot on getting into that hot saw
to your
to be
timber.
able to do well, because he's very, very
2,
good.
1, go!
The axe disciplines, not a different story. He's good, he's solid, he's got some great times, but there's always room for improvement, right?
That's right.
Looking good here, though. Those are some nice, accurate drivers from down below. Moves to the other side and starts working on his second side. Danny Martin and Michael Delpine both pretty evenly matched as they come to the second sides of their blocks together. And it looks like Danny Martin might be able to get through there first. It's wiggling, and there it goes. 28.81 for Danny Martin. Michael Delpine, one more driver, and a 32.79 for him. So the times have been slower across the board for all these athletes, but that was a very good showing by Danny Martin. That puts him second fastest in standing block chop so far.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
And Danny Martin, again, both cuts are good. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, he's such a perfectionist. Danny Martin always wants to have the good times. He always wants to be right there with the best in the world, you know? And that's one of those competitive edges that people like him have. When they get better and better, they want to keep improving and even getting better than where they were before. So I think we'll see Danny Martin taking steps to make sure that he is right there with the top in the world as we see him move over to the individual world championships in a month.
That's right. He is the athlete that actually studies every single video that is made of him to try and improve. You can see there, he has a knot in it, and that's that quick thinking and that practice that he has that he decided to move his cut up a little bit to avoid hitting his axe.
You can see that little dark spot in there that was just maybe causing him problems, so he moved and did exactly the right thing. You know, he definitely wanted to have a better time than that for sure, but he did a great job nevertheless to have a good cut and a good time. And at the moment, he's currently sitting second in the standing block chop results. So all in all, he's had a great cut there. Standing block chop results right there. Guillaume Moore with Danny Martin right in second place. Arkadiusz Drozdik, then Pierman Gnadingen, nicely done. And Michael Delpine are your top 5 STBs. So that is where we're at. We've got a lot still coming today, as well as some stuff coming up in the near future. Let's take a look at what's still on the block for the rest of the month. So today we are experiencing and celebrating the European Nations Pro Cup, and on the 17th of September, Australia will get busy with the Rookie Championships and the Pro Championships on the Gold Coast. Then the big deal, the big wheel, and the one that we're all looking forward to at the end of October, the 28th and 29th of October in Gothenburg, Sweden, where we'll have the Team World Championship and the Individual World Championship. Now, if you want to get involved in the conversation, we do have our hashtags, hashtag STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, and my favorite, hashtag KissMyAxe, which is always fun. And you can get involved in the conversation, send some comments, send some pictures, and just follow your favorite athletes as we get ready to move on to our next heat. So Pierre Puy-Barré, Andrea Rossi going up against each other. We've seen these guys plenty of times in the past at all sorts of different competition venues facing off against each other. Andrea Rossi, a little bit of a disadvantage on the tail of the tape with a slightly slower personal best in standing block chop. Pierre Puy-Barré, meanwhile, holds the national record for France for this discipline. I still can't get over the fact that they managed to overturn that DQ from the underhand chop by Pierre Puy-Barré, but that's again why we have Spike Milton here to make sure those kinds of things can be taken care of. And we are underway. Big chunk in the way there for Puy-Barré. That causes problems for the guy sometimes, hey?
It sure does.
Andrea Rossi looking good as he's putting in some power. Moves over to the other side. I think Pierre Puy-Barré might already be there. Yes, he is. A lot of material still in the way on that backside for Pierre Puy-Barré, though. He's got a couple of pieces that are loose, and it looks pretty good for him. Andrea Rossi still battling on his second side. Just looking for that driver to get it off, and Puy-Barré is going to do it in a 41.78. He's going to look up and be disappointed with that time. Andrea Rossi with a 48.56. So at the moment, that puts Andrea Rossi and Pierre Puy-Barré in 10th and 9th places, respectively. So they are at the bottom of the bucket in standing block chop here with a couple of slow cuts there, which is unusual for both of these guys, especially for Puy-Barré, who is really solid in this discipline.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
As you can see, this wood is not very forgiving.
Yeah, it's not giving any love to these guys at all on this day. And, you know, given that these are professionals and they absolutely have the accuracy, the power, and the endurance, the times that we're seeing today are not indicative of the skill level that's on stage.
Definitely not. So you can see there, it's not coming off.
Yeah, and like we saw with Danny Martin, like we saw with Pierman, trying to get those final drivers in there and just seeing that little thread holding onto it or that little chunk of wood there that's not letting go. Super frustrating. Okay, our next heat, Ferry Svan going up against Emil Hansen, and Edvin Karlsson is going to call this one with Floty on the sidelines there.
So as we have a Swedish duel, we also need a Swedish commentary. Edvin Karlsson, you had a tremendous day this morning. You made the most points of all rookies, and now you're going to commentate on your two buddies, on your two mentors. How's that going to feel? They're either going to hate or love you after this, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. No, but yeah, I hope they will do their best and do the work. Yeah, it's some tough wood today, I think. So yeah, you need to do the work. Yeah.
So any predictions? Do you have any favorite, especially in this discipline?
Oh, they're both really good. Yeah, and yeah, look for Ferry for the speed and for some huge power from him.
Okay, so that's what we're going to look forward to. You've got the best place in the house now, more or less, first row. And hopefully you can tell us a bit about the different techniques and the different styles, because both of them are very unique.
Yeah, they have their own styles, that's for sure, yeah.
So we're getting ready for speed against power. Your commentary for the moment, the man Edvin Karlsson, and of course Ferry Svan and Emil Hansen going for the points. I mean, hopefully both of them are going to have a good time in your favor, because you're going for the Nations Cup. You're in a good position at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good. But yeah, hopefully they do what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
So we've just been told that the wood is going to get another check. What could that be? I mean, you're an expert. To me, this is something new.
No, I think they're turning the stance for Emil to. I don't know what's going on really, but yeah. Now it's.
Maybe he just wants to make things difficult for you as a commentator.
I guess so. Yeah. No, but his stance were not in the way he would have wanted it. So yeah, they're changing it. Yeah.
Everything for our athletes. That's what STIHL Timbersports is all about as well. We talked about the wood. I mean, you said the wood is a little difficult today. What exactly do you mean?
It's a bit. I think it's a bit harder maybe than some of the other competitions that's been. But I mean, it's fair wood. But yeah, you need to do the work. Yeah, put your hits where they're supposed to go, right?
It's natural material, so it's not always 100% the same. But like you say, for wood. And now we're into the heats.
2,
Over
1,
to you.
Go!
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah, 1-1 in the opening.
It's like the twins.
Yeah.
So it's power against speed. Do you see anyone up front at the moment?
I think Emil is going pretty good here. We'll see. Ferry is on the work, I see. Yeah, it's coming here. Yeah, nice. And then Emil should be just a couple hits. Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
Not bad at all. Very impressive, especially considering that the wood is pretty hard. But what made the big difference now?
I think just Ferry had that little bit more, yeah. I think he opened up the backside pretty well, so yeah, that looked nice.
ladies and gentlemen.
The changeover, they
All
seemed
good,
pretty
good.
close, but at the end, of course, it was a clear win.
Yeah, I think the speed of Ferry was what got him through that backside, I think, yeah.
Well, thanks, Edwin. That was perfect. You've seen it all. You're going to talk about everything that's happened on stage with the two guys now. Wish you the best of luck that nobody is mad at you after this.
Good.
Well, that was a pretty incredible heat. I mean, you and I were in here listening to the commentary, but watching that heat, they went for it.
Unreal. The power that these two guys have is incredible.
Edmund, or excuse me, Emil Hansen with that wide stance, hopping back and forth just to put everything into those drivers. Huge chips flying off.
And that's exactly what you want, is that you want that wood to fly out.
All right, so we just saw an incredible battle between Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan, and these two guys, they're going to be going at it for a long time. Let's take a look at the standing block chop ranking, and then we'll look at the overall ranking and find out what 8 athletes will be moving on to the next round. Ferry Swan, Guillaume Moore, the top 2 times there with the 12 and 11 points going home with them. Emil Hansen right there with 10 points in 3rd place, with Danny Martin sitting in 4th place with a solid time. Drostek, Knedinger, Delpine, and Geisler rounding it out, and in the overall standings, Ferry Swan who now moves to the top, only 1 point ahead of Christoph Geisler. Emil Hansen sitting in 3rd place there with Danny Martin, Pierre Puy-Barré, Arkadiusz Drostek, Mikael Delpine, and Pierman Knedinger in that bubble spot one more time. He was in the same spot yesterday, made it to the 2nd round, and he's in the same spot again today going into the 2nd round. So now those top 8 athletes that I just talked about will move on to our next discipline, and that is the single buck, and let's check that out. The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types: cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success. All right, so now you know what has to be happening on stage with this particular piece of equipment, the single buck, and we've also eliminated 4 athletes from the competition so far. That's going to be, unfortunately for these guys, Guillaume Moore, Marcel Steinkemper, Andrea Rossi, and Jacek Groenwald will not be continuing on in the competition into the 2nd round. And we've also noticed that the sun is out. That means the gun's out for some of our boys out there, but more or less, we have a great amount of spectators out there in the audience. It's high energy. There's lots of food and stuff going on. It's also, I believe, the 750th celebration of the birthday of Vayak, or the creation of the town of Vayak. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right, 750 years.
750 years. I mean, there are houses here that are older than my home country. It's unbelievable. Okay, so there's a lot of action still to come. I'd also like to, if we can get a chance, to look at the Nations Cup rankings. I guess not. We're going to go to the start list first, so our single buck is ready to go. We'll get right into the action. We'll check the Nations Cup ranking afterwards, and there we see the 8 remaining athletes going on to the second round. We will now have 2 disciplines and whittle that down to 6 for our hot saw. Pirmin Gnedinger will be going up against Michael Delpin Trostek in the next heat, up against our, Pierre Puy-Barret. And we do have a Nations Cup ranking, and there we see, wow, that's a massive lead for the Scandinavian side. 17 points, Poland with 9.25 points. France, Switzerland, Germany, and Italy have a little bit of catching up to do. At this point, France and Switzerland are in good positions to play catch-up, but Team Scandinavia with a massive lead for the moment. However, we still have 2 more disciplines to go before we get to the hot saw, so a lot of things can still happen as we get ready for the single buck. I love his picture, it's cheeky. Pirmin Gnedinger going up against Michael Delpin. So you won't tell me how many axes you have. How many single bucks do you guys have between the 2 of you?
That's a secret.
That's also a secret. Man, that's not fair.
Well,
I want some sharesies. Come on.
Single bucks are so difficult and rare to get now, so that's information that you do not share.
It's kind of like asking a woman her shoe size. Okay. Pirmin saw is set, so he'll reposition for his start. And right now, Michael Delpin setting his saw. He seems satisfied with that. Judges check and give them the go-ahead to reposition and get ready for the start.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Pirmin's style is so practiced. It's the same start every time as he gets going, looking very good. Michael Delpin on the other side there, also looking good. Really breathing through each of those cuts and draws. It's going to be close here. Personal best by Michael Delpin. Gnedinger's time didn't stop, but it was a 17:19. Somebody was a bit slow on the button there, but we had it in our system here. So 17:19 for Pirmin, and Michael Delpin with a 15:97 personal best. That was a great cut for the Italian. Andrea Rossi coming out to help out with Michael Delpin's saw.
Both guys are good.
So we have thumbs up all around. 16:99 end result there for Pirmin, and a 15:74 for Michael as they exit the stage. And we'll take a look at the slow-mo here.
And a personal best for Mike.
There's that start pull by Pirmin. Really using the entire saw this time.
That's right. So that is so crucial because you paid for the whole thing, so you might as well use it.
I love that line. Got a little bit of a hook up there.
That's the one thing I think is his biggest problem. He's too far or too close to the log, so he keeps pulling the saw out just a little bit.
Just a little short chop cut there at the end to finish that off. Solid time though, as those two sit 1-2 at the moment. And Arkadia Strostek and Pierre Puy-Barret come on stage for their cuts. Pierre, very, very good at this discipline. I think that Arkadius has been working this one as well. We also have to remember that these guys are cutting a 46 centimeter block.
That's right.
As opposed to the rookies who are cutting a 40 centimeter block. So there's 6 centimeters difference for the pros to the rookies. I was happy to get through a 26 centimeter block in 21 seconds, so it doesn't even come close to what these guys are doing. Two different styles of saws there as well. This is what I was asking you about as well. It seems like Arkadius' saw is a little bit thinner through the middle than the one that Pierre has. It almost seems bulkier.
Stand to your timber.
So it's styles
3,
from the
2,
saw makers.
1, go!
So Pierre Puy-Barré getting into it right away with long strokes. Arkadiusz Drozdek going a little bit shorter, but using the entire length of the saw. So he's got a faster space, but not quite getting it to the knuckles. And Pierre Puy-Barré with a 13.99, fastest time of the day so far. Arkadiusz Drozdek with an 18.83. So he still needs to work on that discipline a little bit, as Pierre Puy-Barré has set the fastest time in single buck. And so that will be the time to beat at the moment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
Quick look by Pierre Puy-Barré to Bart Janssen and a little, whew, yeah. But at the moment, Pierre Puy-Barré with an adjusted time official of 13.70 is the man to beat as we look back at his cuts.
So we can see as he is the world record holder by the single buck. He knows that saw in and out. He knows what he can do with it.
Arkadiusz Drozdek, a bit of a high stance for him and not really using as much of his core strength in that back leg, in my opinion, as he probably could.
He is a tall guy, so he technically should be using his entire body.
Ooh, and that got a little bit wiggly and waggly there as that saw bent a bit. It almost looked like he was coming close to breaking the cookie off. And now Danny Martin going up against Emil Hansen. Very, very evenly matched heat here on the tail of the tape. We should point out this world record is without help. That's single buck with assistant is held by Jason Wynyard, 9.39. Single buck without is, as you mentioned, Pierre Puy-Barré with an 11.58. So a quick check with that gauge that the judges have to make sure that the saw is the same depth for each athlete. And thumbs up and nods for both these guys as they'll reset to their competition cut position. And they have a couple of saws that look to be more or less exactly the same.
Yes, but it looks like they could all be Mercier saws,
Okay.
same as Puy-Barré.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Danny Martin getting right into it, some deep, long cuts. Emil Hansen right there with him. I think I saw Emil Hansen give a quick glance over to Danny Martin to see where he was at. It's going to be close between these two guys.
Oh my!
14.09, 14.03. Very close between these two guys. Danny Martin slightly ahead of Emil Hansen. We'll have to double check competition control after adjustments there to make sure, but I think that Danny Martin's got that one with the second fastest time of the day. Emil Hansen, third fastest time of the day. Good showing for both of these guys here.
So Emil putting on his slippers there because they spiked shoes on to give them a little more grip here on the stage.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
So with adjustment, Danny Martin, 13.79, and Emil Hansen with a 13.87 as we take a look back at this cut here.
So you can see both using the complete saw, which is so important. And right there, you can see the saw is right at the cut to the wood. It's not lifting up at all. That is so important to actually be cutting as much of the wood as you can. So there's different styles. There's the flat, there's the figure eight. So they're both using more flat style of cutting.
And it was just a half stroke difference, not even a quarter stroke difference between the two of them at the finish there. Beautiful cuts by both guys. So nice and straight, good time. So Danny Martin currently sitting second in single butt, the first discipline in round 2. Emil Hansen third, and Pierre Puy-Barré still with the fastest time here. And now we go on to Christoph Geisler up against Ferry Swan in heat number 4 of single bucks. And you know, our heats are now going to be shorter because we only have 4 heats with 8 athletes in there. And Christoph Geisler, the absolute master, checking to Swiss accuracy right there. Need a fly swatter in here. Spike is coming to me to fly the swat.
See the concentration by the athletes to make sure that saw is straight, because if it's a little bit crooked, it means you're cutting a little bit more wood, and you do not want that.
There's also that thought that if it's a bit crooked, it could cause the cookie either to break or, which is unusual in this discipline, having a cutout, but
anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by Christoph Geisler, right away with those long strokes. Knuckles to tip. Ferry Swan's got pace though. Look at the absolute speed of that saw. Unbelievable. 13:07 for Ferry Swan. Fastest time of the day for him. And again, Sweden moves to the top of the bunker board here with the single buck. Wow, fantastic. Don't see a time there for... Doch, I do see a time. 15:29 for Christoph Geisler. That's got him in 5th place in single buck at the moment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both judges good.
Okay, so we'll take a look back at the slow-mo, then we'll look at the single buck standings and how that's affected the overall standings and where we are at the moment, just entering round 2's first discipline, heading towards the second discipline, which is the springboard. Oh, the springboard. Our favorite. Super finicky, but that's some nice cuts right there for both of these guys. Christoph Geisler working the whole saw through that block, eh?
He is, and you just have to know the right amount of pressure to put on there so that you don't hook up.
And I mean, unbelievable how quickly Ferry Swan was moving that saw back and forth through there. All right, single buck standings. There we go. Ferry Swan on top. Pierre Puy-Barré just in 2nd place. Danny Martin in 3rd place. Emil Hansen in 4th. Christoph Geisler, then Delpine, then Gnedinger, then Drozdek. So a very nice showing. And Delpine, the only man with a personal best thus far in the competition. And in our overall standings, that means Ferry Swan moves to the top of the leaderboard, or rather holds on to the top of the leaderboard and extends his lead with 45 points. Danny Martin now in 2nd place, pushing Puy-Barré down into 3rd, and Emil Hansen in 4th. And Danny Martin, Puy-Barré tied with 38 points. Emil Hansen, Christoph Geisler tied with 36 points. Drozdek and Delpine tied with 25 points. And Gnedinger, they're in 8th position with 21 points. One quick look at the nation standings now after we get a view of our beautiful audience here. And again, it's still Team Scandinavia at the top with the points of 16.25. France has moved back up into the mix, though. 10 points for them. Poland, Germany with 9.25 points. Italy and Switzerland with 6.75 and 6.50 respectively. And now we are joined in studio with none other than our global sports director, Spike Milton. And we wanted to have Spike come in and join us today to talk a little bit about this Nations Cup and the concept behind instituting the Nations Cup, first of all, and what we're seeing with the Nations Cup and how that's affected timber sports in general.
Okay, Troy. Well, you know, it's a magnificent competition, as you can see. The whole concept of the competition is to involve the pros and the rookies together. Get a real good bond, take them under their wing and really push them forward. And as you can see with this competition, as it's evolving today, you can see the true dedication Team Scandinavia's got here. You know, they've put a lot of work in. It's probably the youngest team out there. They've even got
a new guy as part of Scandinavia from Finland represented Denmark. I mean, it's just a great, great competition.
Poland was dominant last year. They're not as strong looking this year, but we still have some competition to go. But as you said, Scandinavia is really coming on strong with 3 Swedes in the mix here that are really doing some damage. Want to tech, because you're also deeply involved with the rookies that are here and the rookies at the Rookie Academy. Talk a little bit about the Rookie World Championship, first of all, before we go to the Academy.
Well, the Rookie World Championship, as you can see, and what's being demonstrated is the bond that these guys have got together. That's really key element to all this competition and how it is developing. They all work together, they train together, and they just communicate with each other. And that really is so important.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen a couple of rookies move from the Rookie Academy this year and actually jump into the pros with Marcel Steinkemper and Olli Reinhardt, who have both shown absolute talent. That's the kind of thing that we want to see with these rookies, isn't it?
200%, Troy. I mean, the domination of these young guys, I spoke about it last year, and, you know, I warned the pros what was coming, and now I'm just elated, delighted, and of course, the women are next.
Absolutely. Now, we're looking forward to a fantastic World Championship that's coming up very soon. We're going to look really quickly at the teaser for this World Championship, and then we'll come back to you and talk a little bit about that event, because the World Championship is coming up at the end of October on the 28th and 29th. Let's have a quick peek at what we can expect. Nothing quite like the atmosphere of a World Championships for the team and the individual competition. I get goosebumps thinking about it. The best atmosphere we've had just before the pandemic was in the Czech Republic. Do you think we can expect that again at the Partille Arena in Gothenburg? Because everything's open up, people will be super excited to be back in and check this event out live.
You got it right on the head there, Troy, that's for sure. People have really missed timber sports, and now we have an opportunity. We have a great venue. And like I say, Sweden, wow. I can remember being part of the early training of the trainers in Sweden, and they've really embraced it. They've taken it forward, and they've got such a huge following there. And Hans-Ove Hansen, what a great job he's doing with the local team. The bond that they've got and the following, Sweden will make everybody welcome. And what a beautiful country. What a lovely venue. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be fantastic. It's also the first time that we're having a World Championship in Sweden. So looking for that, forward to that. And now we've got Float, who is with Marcel Steinkemper right now. We'll head over to him and hear what's going on stage, getting ready for our next discipline, the springboard.
So I've grabbed myself Marcel Steinkemper. While things are getting wild here on stage, there's a lot of sawdust, also ganz viel Sägespäne hier. Die Vorbereitungen für das Springboard sind voll im Gange. Kannst du uns ein bisschen erklären, was hier genau aufgebaut wird und worauf vor allem das Team, das ja hier wie ein Formel-1-Team arbeitet, worauf das achten muss?
Ja, also die Loks werden gerade alle aufgestellt, dass hier alles bereitsteht für die Sportler. Die bereiten jetzt ihre Pockets vor, wo sie die Taschen für die Springboards nachher schlagen werden. Die Blöcke werden oben abgeschnitten, die Loks werden oben abgeschnitten, dass die Blöcke gerade draufstehen und die richtige Höhe passt. Und ja, das geht alles in Windeseile hier und ja.
It is actually like watching a Formula One team. We've got the big logs that are being put into size, cut in size. The athletes are putting themselves, marking the positions where they want to put the springboards in. So there's a lot to do, and it all happens in a very short amount of time. Da hat sich einiges getan in den letzten Jahren, oder?
Ja, also es ist auf jeden Fall immer ein bisschen Stress dabei, ne? Aber den braucht man manchmal auch, das ist so ein bisschen positiver Stress. Dann wird man selber noch mal ein bisschen fokussierter und alles läuft ein bisschen besser manchmal sogar.
Für dich ist es ja die erste Saison bei den Pros. Das gab es ja in der Form mit den 2 Springboards bei den Rookies nicht. Wie schwer tut man sich da beim Umstieg?
Also das ist eigentlich ziemlich gut, dass wir die Springboard mit einem Brett haben bei uns. Da werden wir schon mal in die Disziplin rangeführt. Und nachher ist das zweite Brett, das ist dann nochmal eine andere Etage. Da erschreckt man sich schon ein bisschen das erste Mal, aber man gewöhnt sich relativ schnell dran.
So it's his first season as a pro, and as a rookie they only had 1 springboard. Now, of course, it's 2. There's a lot of noise here, but that is what is happening backstage. And he said, of course, 1 springboard is good to get a bit involved, but it's totally different if you have 2. And these athletes, they are doing a fantastic job, and knowing like the world record in this discipline, and having seen others, being DQ'd because it takes too long. This is where you really know you're a pro if you're able to make this.
Auf jeden Fall, also das Springboard ist gerade wirklich die Königsdisziplin, wird es ja auch genannt, weil es auf so viele kleine Sachen ankommt. Die Pockets müssen 100%ig passen, sonst hat man oben ein unsicheres Gefühl und kann nicht richtig Gas geben und das Ganze steht und fällt damit.
So he says this is like the king's discipline, having the right pockets, putting them into position, making sure that you don't sag down from the springboard. So there's lots of things that you have to take care of to be on top of the game. Und Marcel, ich kann nur eines sagen, wir freuen uns auf das, was jetzt gleich kommt. Gibt es irgendwelche Favoriten von deiner Seite? Does he have any favorites for the springboard today?
Also es sind natürlich viele starke Sportler. Ich glaube, Ferry Swan ist ganz vorne mit dabei. Christoph Geisler ist auch nie zu unterschätzen am Springboard und ich drücke natürlich Danny die Daumen.
So Christoph Geisler, Ferry Swan, they're probably his favorites, but favorite for the heart, that of course is Danny Martin. So we'll see what's going to happen. Thanks very much for taking your time. Vielen Dank, dass du dir schnell Zeit genommen hast. That was it from backstage. I'll be back later, but it's getting so loud and I think a little dangerous for us. So back to Yolanda and Troy.
Thanks, Floaty. So we are here back in the studio getting ready. You can see the action is furious on stage, but all of this action doesn't happen without our partners. And one of the main partners for our STIHL Timbersports this season and last was Ford. Let's get a little preview of what we can expect from Ford in the next little while.
There's only ever 2 you meet. One who keeps things nice and neat. Silence is their quiet treat. And under every rug they sweep, steering clear of conflict's heat. Then there is a different beast, marching to a savage beat. Takes the sour with the sweet, never takes the path of least. Company that few can keep, followers left in dusty heaps. Wide awake among the sheep, unafraid to bare their teeth. They take the old way and break it, beat it. These ones leave the rules in pieces. The next generation Ford Ranger Raptor, coming soon.
The Ford Ranger Raptor, looking fast and furious out there on course with a professional driver. I wouldn't mind having one of those myself. Speaking of fast and furious, the next discipline coming up, the springboard, a world record was set back in 2016 in Stuttgart by a Canadian we can both be proud of in that case.
We sure can be.
Sterling Hart absolutely destroyed the previous world record in springboard with a 35.67 time. Let's take a look back at that, and I wonder if anybody's ever going to be able to break this record.
I don't
honestly,
know.
It's going to be tough.
It is going to be really tough.
3, 2, 1, go!
I was there for that. You were there for that.
I was there for that.
It gives me goosebumps every time I see it. It was absolutely incredible performance. And I mean, so many things had to work exactly right for Sterling in that moment. 4-hit pocket, board in, 4-hit pocket at the top. Just an absolute melon. Cut through that thing in 35.67 seconds. I mean, that's a tough one. We're seeing averages around 50, 55 seconds for really good guys on the springboard. What can we expect to see here today with our guys getting out there, battling outdoors, we should also mention?
That's right. I think because of the wood the way it is, I don't think we'll get to see any of those best times. We may get to see a personal best. You never know. That is always possible.
Fingers
but
crossed.
I don't think we'll be anywhere near that world record.
All right, well, that's always the aim for these guys, but at the moment today, it's just about getting the fastest time possible in a discipline that's so fiddly and kniggly and finicky that you can't mess around with it. You have to have good pockets, good boards, and a good cut. Let's take a look at what's involved in the springboard.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27 centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
So the key here is those pockets. Don't waste a ton of time on the pockets. 4 hits is basically a perfect pocket.
I
think that we actually noticed that Sterling on that first pocket in 2016 had 3 hits and was up onto the board for the second pocket, which was 4 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I mean, it's going to be tough. A lot of the guys struggle sometimes with the pockets and setting the pockets and making sure the board is right. And that's where a lot of the time is lost for these gentlemen, isn't it?
That's right. That's where all the nerves are going to get you as well. Is that first pocket. If it's not on point, 4 hit, 6 hit, as soon as it gets past that, the nerves get you.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you want to have that board absolutely secure, because when you're 2 meters in the air, standing there hitting a block with a razor-sharp instrument, you definitely don't want that thing falling out. And we have seen that happen in past on the first board, luckily, so nobody was injured, but it's always a possibility. So here's our springboard start list with Gnedinger going up against Delpine, Drozdek against Pubaré, Martin against Hansen, and Geisler against Ferry Swan. So Gnedinger against Delpine, interesting matchup there. What are your thoughts?
I'm always not to comment on that.
No comment from the other half of the Gnedinger team.
That's right.
All right, but these guys both looking like they're going to be pretty solid. Christoph Geisler, Pierman Gnedinger with a... my board's wrong. Just looking at some of the springboards time here. 1:13.16 for Pierman Gnedinger. Michael Delpine looking at, let's check his time here.
109.
109. Thank you for that save. 109.39 at the Italian Pro Championship this year. So again, we talk about the tail of the tape, how Michael Delpine has a slight advantage, but anything can happen out there. And now we're updated on our boards here. Thanks for that, guys. All right. And we're going to head over to floaty right now.
So I've got the Swiss legend Oliver Reinhardt standing next to me. Springboard, that's a very special discipline. You were really fast yesterday, but still a DQ. Why?
Yeah, springboard and me, we have a bit of a love-hate relationship. I unfortunately didn't know exactly about the rules, and then I did a top hit first instead of a bottom hit, and apparently that's against the rules. Got DQ'd there. Was a bit sad about it, but that's what it is. I'll get back stronger next time.
Yeah, and for us it's great because now I've got you standing next to me instead of you competing on stage, and of course we want you to be our commentary for this discipline, knowing that you're fast but not knowing all the rules yet. So maybe together we can go through this. It is one of the most difficult disciplines.
It is. It combines technique, strength, stability, all the things you need and all the things that are hard. And yeah, definitely look forward to see Pierman go.
And how dangerous is it? Because it always feels to me like you're up 2 meters, your axes are sharp as a razor blade. You don't want to fall down, do you? But it does happen.
It does happen, but I guess you can feel it when the board starts sagging and you're about to come down. She's still a bit of
Makes me feel much more comfortable now.
Nah, she's all safe, more or less.
Okay, well, we just heard the whistle. We are about to get going here, and of course your Swiss colleague Pirmin hopefully will get a great time. What can we expect? What do you think is possible today?
I'd say a bit over a minute. I'd say, yeah, 1:05, something like that.
We're going to find out in just a few moments. Both athletes are ready, and then it's over to Oliver.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, Pirmin hitting his first pocket. First 2 hits looking good. See if we can get it forwards. Beauty. Puts the board in. Wonderful. See how the second board goes. Got his axe stuck there a bit. Nice angles there too. And you want to get that hole big enough so that it holds yourself. And Pirmin's pretty big, so he wants to get a big hole. Make sure that he stands right on that second board. Looking good. Maybe finishing out the last little touches. Getting all that gunk out. Looks like he has a good block on the top too. But already had a bit of a splinter off. Beautiful. Yeah. Jeez. What a good hit. Yeah, he needs to keep those good, hard, strong up hits going. I think he's going to make it under a minute. Nice work there, getting himself to the half. And he's surely about to turn, starting with his down hits then.
Just hope everybody at home can hear the crowd. Atmosphere is going wild.
Gee whiz. It looks pretty good. Yeah, there you go. Can't be 2 more hits away. Wonderful. Doing marvelous job. Beauty.
Still not there though, still not there.
Fucking last 2 hits. That's it.
2 more, 1, 2, come on.
Jeez, and it's hit it harder. Go on, Pirmin. Get it. There we go.
How about that atmosphere in Switzerland?
What a crowd though. What a support.
Not bad at all, yeah.
Getting his last 2 hits in. Beauty.
Still within time. I mean, this, Marcel Steinkemper said before, it's the discipline of the kings because it is so hard. Would you agree with him?
Yeah, definitely. You need to know it all.
So considering this, I think they've both done a great job, and you were fantastic. Come and join us in the studio more often.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, buddy.
Both good to go.
And we're back to Yolanda and Troy.
So Oliver Reinhardt with a good call on that one. Did a great job actually as we take a look back at the slow-mos here between Pirmin and Michael Delpine.
Sure did. Yeah, so Pirmin's up on that first board very quickly. But you can see he does have a little bit downslope. That's why he's so close to the tree right now.
And actually, it was Michael Delpine getting up on that second block actually ahead of Pirmin. I thought Pirmin was up there based on the commentary from Oliver that it was Pirmin up top first, but he did have a good board position. This one looks better today than it did yesterday, actually.
It definitely does. And look at Michael Delpine, how that wood is just coming out by the first couple of hits that he did.
That whole block seems to be wiggling and waggling a little bit up top there, though. I mean, that would make me nervous standing on the springboard with the whole stand moving like that. Of course, the stands are very, very secure. I mean, they're secured to the floor with mega bolts, and then these big tree stands are jammed into place on that metal stand at the bottom with a massive chain and some dogs as well. So no chance of the thing falling over. But boy, I tell you, that would make me nervous as both these guys block the top off of theirs. Pirmin in 134.52, Michael Delpine in 149.79. And we head to our next heat with Arkadiusz Drozdek and Pierre Puy-Barret. And Puy-Barret, under a minute's time, hopefully he can pull that off today. If he can, he would do well for France to get them some good points.
That's right.
Arkadiusz Drozdek, little booties for his springboard teeth.
They're using beanbags there to kind of secure those springboards so that once they're on their first board that the second one doesn't fall over and then you have to get back down all the way to go grab it.
Pierre Puy-Barré mentally fixating on that first pocket. I mean, if you can mentally drive that first pocket home, you can also think about your second pocket in the same way, huh?
That's right.
So Pierre, ready to go. Arkadiusz, ready to go. We are ready to go. Let's lock and load.
Athlete
and get
ready.
this going.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, that's a nice pocket.
4 hits for Arkadiusz there to get that pocket set. He seems pretty confident with the first board, but as always, the first board is less important than that second board. Took a long time for Pierre to get that pocket set, and Arkadiusz has got his second board in already, I believe.
He's just
No,
getting
he's
up on
just
it.
stepping up onto it now and starts to work on that top block. And Pierre Puy-Barré about 4 strokes behind Arkadiusz, joining him, but it took him a while to find that balance 2 meters up in the air with that sharp axe in his hand. Arkadiusz Drozdek looking very good as they near the 50-second mark. Arkadiusz is usually around the minute mark. Pierre Puy-Barré about 55 seconds. It's not going to be a personal best for either of these guys here today. As we see on that total view, both of them looking very good up there, but it's now becoming an issue of their endurance as they're both working the backside of their block. Whose is going to drop first? Looks like it might be Arkadiusz's in 1:13.67, fastest time of the day. And 1:18.05, second fastest time of the day for Pierre Puy-Barré. So for Poland, Arkadiusz Drozdek has 16 points in the bank, but we still do have 2 more heats to go here in the springboard, and those top blocks need to be changed so that our next 4 athletes can come out and battle it out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
So that first pocket by Arkadiusz is beautiful. 4 hits, confidently setting that board in place and hopping up. No issues for him. For Pierre Puy-Barré, it took a little bit longer.
It did, yes.
Quick sweep with his fingers to make sure everything's cleaned out of there. Jams the tooth of the springboard in and sets to the second pocket. I think the problem for me, if I were in this position, I would want to put too much power into setting those pockets, and you have to have that right draw of power and accuracy here to make sure that you have a good pocket, but that you're not overdoing it, getting that axe stuck in there like you're cutting a standing block chop or something.
That's right, and that's what we can see also here. It is different than a standing block chop because you can't just give it all you got and drive it off because you want to stay up on that board.
So Arkadiusz Drozdek with the fastest time in the springboard thus far with a 1:13.49. Pierre Puy-Barré just behind him in a 1:18.02. Pierre Gnedinger, third place for the moment with a 1:34.52, and Michael Delpin with a 1:49.79. There you can see the springboard rankings in that mini list right there, and we get an opportunity to enjoy some great atmosphere here. But I'll tell you, the atmosphere can be really wild if you come and join us at a World Championships like we had in 2019 in Prague. Let's check that out, and it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it.
It comes down to Mitch Argent and Shane Jordan battling hard on the standing block. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Australia or New Zealand? Oh my God, how close is this? And it's Australia!
The atmosphere last night and the team's relay was unreal.
That is their title of Team World Champion.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the noisiest crowd I've competed against.
Shane Jordan's already over there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
The crowds here, they were just erupting.
You feel the energy of the crowd.
My goodness, what a great comeback from Belgium with a time of 1.
The crowd was absolutely electric.
And it was so much noise and support.
Ja, doch, das pusht schon rum und mein Fanclub ist auch da.
Very passionate about their country and, yeah, the competitors.
Yeah, it feels super.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
But he's not giving up. He's looking good.
Like such an adrenaline rush. It's an amazing feeling.
They make a lot of noise, and that's good for our spirit. Is it going to be the Czech Republic? And the crowd goes bananas. It's absolutely extreme here. Man hört's.
The Liebherr TA230. Powerful, dynamic, unstoppable. Our newest addition to the family.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic vibes at that World Championship in Prague in 2019. And I think we can expect something very similar in the upcoming championships in October on the 28th and 29th. It's going to be fantastic. In the meantime, let's take a look at what we can expect coming from the World Championships in Gothenburg, Sweden. Or not. Maybe we'll look at that later.
I think you just got to go and experience it.
All right, we're going to take a look at that clip anyway, so it's coming at you just a little bit slower than expected. Here we go. A quick teaser of the upcoming championships in Gothenburg, Sweden at the end of October. So first time for the World Championships in Sweden. It's going to be awesome at the Partille Arena, and we are back on stage now with Marcus Floth, who is with Marcel Steinkemper once again, because Marcel is going to be calling the run of Danny Martin on springboard. Springboard. That's what we're doing, springboard.
Emil Hansen versus Danny Martin. That's our next heat. Commentary this time will be from Marcel Steinkemper. What can you tell us about these two competing in this discipline?
Oh, Danny is a strong X-Man. If he gets good pockets in, and then he will have a safe stand and will be chopping pretty good, I think. And yeah, Emil is a fast guy. He's maybe you think he's small, but he's a strong man, and but he's very athletic. And I think he's a good springboarder, and we will see what the time brings.
What about the crowd here in Switzerland? I mean, we've got perfect weather. Everybody went wild during the last few heats. They seem to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it's a great audience here, great place, a great location here.
And yeah, I hope they will be cheering on the athletes now, and we'll have a good heat.
Giving them that extra motivation. We're almost off. Now we are off. Let's take a look at what's happening.
And they're working on the first pockets. Good pocket by Emil. He's getting up now fast. Then he's making sure that he's got a good pocket in. Now they're getting on the second board. Emil puts the board in. He tests. He tests it. Oh, it's going down a bit. He don't take it. He go back again on the first board.
Might be the chance for Danny.
Yeah. Then he gets up now. Good board. He really likes it when it goes up a little bit, like it goes up now. So he knows he's safe and he can go full power. Emil back on the second board again. Now he can bring. Board is better now for Emil. He can bring more power in now, I think.
Danny going strong.
Danny is pretty strong. Just 2 more hits, I think. Yeah, now he's turning on the other side and Emil coming back. Wow. That was damn close.
You don't often see this from Danny Martin, still standing on that springboard. You know, he's showing us the fist. He must be happy.
Yeah, of course. He must be really happy. I think it's a personal best. I'm not sure. He's always trying to get under 1 minute, but it's pretty hard. But he's smiling. I think it was a good heat.
Giving us the thumbs up. That was a great heat.
Yeah, for Emil too. You need to get back on the first board, but he was fast on the second board again and put up a great performance on the second board.
Well, Marcel, it's a great pleasure to have you here for a heat like this, with a crowd like this. I really enjoyed myself and hope to see you back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, what a heat that was.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. Let's take a look back at the slow-mo here. So Emil had, I think that was a 4-hit pocket for Emil. I don't know, maybe 5? I don't know if that was just coming back to a different angle. It was either 4 and we got a different look, or it was 6 pockets, but nevertheless, it was pretty quick.
So you're so quick up on that first board and trying to get the second one.
And he had to go back down and recut that pocket, and that gave Danny Martin a lot of opportunity up top there to really cut through that block. Danny did a great job. I mean, he just concentrated, and like you said earlier on, not worrying about the other guy. He was in his own bubble and just cutting his race, and it worked well for him. But unbelievable effort by Emil Hansen, to come from behind by a stretch to catch up and get a really, really close time to Danny Martin.
And there you see it. Look at him trying catching that balance.
Yeah, he was putting
everything
everything
into it. Get be on your toes up there.
Yeah, no kidding. Oop. Yeah, I see what you mean there. Wow. So Danny Martin with a 106.98, Emil Hansen with a 107.77. Danny Martin leads the springboard results. We have 2 more athletes to go in springboard in heat number 4, and then we're going to whittle down our overall to 6 athletes who will go on to the hot saw. So 1 more heat to go. Ferry Swan, he holds the national record for springboard for Sweden of 48.97. Christoph Geisler, I mean, he's also probably got the national record for Switzerland.
No, he doesn't. That's the only record he does not have for Switzerland.
Really? Who's got the Swiss national record?
That is Thomas Gerber.
Oh, I am informed. Thomas Gerber with the Swiss national record, but maybe he'll get it today. Come on, who knows?
Who knows?
The way he's been performing today, I wouldn't put it past him, quite honestly. Christoph Geisler up against Ferry Swan in this last heat before we make an elimination of 2 athletes and move on to our final discipline of the hot saw. Looking forward to seeing how this one pans out with these 2 guys.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Christoph Geisler with a 4-hit pocket. Ferry Swan, maybe 5. I don't know. I didn't see the last couple of hits. Ferry Swan thinking about this second pocket maybe a little bit too much.
I think it would have been good after that 4-hit.
I think so too, but he's got about, what, 10 hits now to get that pocket. Christoph Geisler, I believe, is already on his second board.
He is.
He is. He's up there working on the second board now. He's got a really steep angle on that board, so he can step off the back. Ferry Swan still trying to find his way up onto the second board, and Christoph Geisler looking really good, getting deep on the first side at the top. Ferry Swan joining him. Ferry a little bit farther forward on the board, but getting good power into it. Geisler moved to the other side of his board now as well. Just approaching the 1-minute mark. Is it going to be close for Geisler? It might be, as he's doing his best to try and get through that board. Ferry Swan on the second side. Christoph Geisler with a 106.47. Ferry Swan with a 108.04. So Ferry Swan, a good job to really put a lot of pressure on Geisler coming from behind. Geisler led that whole heat with a couple of really good pockets.
He sure did.
Look at that first board from Ferry Swan sagging drastically. Great job by Christoph Geisler. And look at what's happened here with his time being official now, 106.29. Christoph Geisler is now your leader in springboard. Danny Martin holds on to second place with a 106.98. How close is that? 69 hundredths of a second. Let's take a look back here.
So look at these pockets. That is what you want. Literally, that 4-hit, up, no cleaning out needing to be done, board in, and up you go.
Ferry Swan also had 4 hits as well, but he took a little bit more time to set that board. And then this second pocket for Ferry Swan was, I wouldn't call it a disaster.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. 4 hits and he was done, but he didn't feel it. So that's the main thing, your headspace.
Well, we're not the ones who have to get up on that board. So.
This is true, thankfully. I also wouldn't want to be a judge out there to have to tell one of these guys with a sharp instrument in their hand they've been disqualified for whatever reason. And there you can see Christoph Geisler getting the wiggle and dropping the block.
So you saw that Ferry did do 1 up hit there. You are allowed to do that. The block just has to be chopped off from both sides.
All right, so springboard rankings, our final discipline in round 2. We're going to eliminate a few guys, 2 guys in fact. Geisler, Martin, Hansen, Swan, Drozdek, Puybare, Gnedinger, and Delpine. After the springboard results, we'll take a look at the overall results. And unfortunately, 2 athletes will be eliminated. So here are the overall standings now. Ferry Swan, 55 points, just ahead of Danny Martin, who's moved up into second place, tied with Christoph Geisler in third, Emil Hansen in fourth, Pierre Puybare and Arkadiusz Drozdek rounding out the top 6. Michael Delpine and Pierman Gnedinger will be eliminated as the last 2 athletes in the rankings here. So we'll move on with 6 athletes to the final discipline of the day, and that is our hot saw. So, 2 rounds are done and dusted. In the first round, we had 3 disciplines, eliminated 4 athletes, moved on to the second round, 2 disciplines, eliminated 2 athletes, and here we see the Nations Cup rankings. Not much change in the points there. Scandinavia still up top with 16.25 points. Poland now moved into second place, 9.25, tied with Germany in third. France has pumped down into fourth place with an 8.75. Switzerland and Italy bringing up the last 2 spots in 7.75 and a 6.75. But there is one more discipline where a lot of points can be gained here. Right. It's 18 points up for grabs in the hot saw with 6 athletes left to compete in the hot saw. And as we've seen in the past so many times, the hot saw can really damage your confidence if it doesn't work right.
Oh, yes.
The saw doesn't start, the chain comes off, you cut out, you have to cut again. I guess the key at this point would be to have 3 clean cookies on the deck and maybe a bit of a slower time. Do you agree?
I definitely agree. Yeah.
All right, so these guys are going to be looking to get these saws rolling clean with 3 good cookies on the deck. Danny Martin is always very, very strong in this discipline. Ferry Swan's come from behind in this discipline on many occasions. Isn't really a big fan of the saw disciplines, but he has become a very adept sawyer with the hot saw in hand because it is the maker or breaker discipline. This is the one and only discipline where the athletes are alone on stage.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but yeah, also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the decider. Hot saw, hot saw.
Like I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid, cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cuts, easy, relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert Ebner, 3 on the deck.
Hot saw is a love-hate for me. I honestly don't get that much enjoyment out of it. I'm not a motorhead. I swallow my pills and eat it.
Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though, it's part of competing.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Fortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
Oh no.
Irgendwie soll es einfach nicht sein. Und dann springt die Hot Saw nicht an, wieder mal.
Oh man, that is a bummer for Robert Ebner.
What are you taking away from this event?
Oh, probably last place. I don't know, headache. Yeah, shit hot saw. What else do you want?
If you have bad luck or if you did wrong, it's part, just your experience.
Oh my goodness, what an absolute disaster, the chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys in front.
It's a bit of a disaster, so it was just operator error, and I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to.
Nice safe cut.
Oh no! Oh no!
Never prepared for that situation, but luckily it started and I got 3 wheels and now I'm the world champion.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love and you hate it.
Das ist eigentlich immer ein geiles Ding. Ich schneide immer sehr sicher.
Oh, great start for both of these guys. Look at how quick it's going for Robert Ebner. Oh my God, Robert Ebner, he's got a world record. Holy smokes, folks.
Ich wollte das Ding heimbringen, ich wollte Weltrekord schneiden und ich danke meiner Familie zu Hause und alle, die mich unterstützt haben.
Just try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all won, so that's the best event.
Hot saw, hot saw, hot saw. That's the thing, isn't it? These machines are powerful, these machines are loud, these machines are finicky. Let's go over to Marcus Float, who is now backstage, where they are going to be testing and warming up these hot saws, just to give you an example of how loud they really are. Marcus?
Definitely gonna need these because of this. The hot saw is about to start. We've got a few facts for you. This is the hot saw fact sheet. Our engines are oil-cooled special 2-stroke engines, 2.49 ccms, 25.5 Ks, and that, but I can already hear them. So move on with me. This is the backstage area. And some of our athletes are already starting the engines. Of course, they have to make sure that the hot saw is warm enough for the competition, because as you've already heard, it is the maker or the breaker, and all of that preparation is happening right now over there. I can see Danny Martin. Pierre Buberé is also making sure that his engine is getting warmed up, and trust me, it's gonna get very loud soon as our athletes are getting into final preparations. Got some safety walls here, which are also very important. And yes, now it's time for these and time for me to say goodbye. Enjoy the noise, enjoy the competition. It's going to be awesome. The maker or the breaker, Hotso, about to begin in just a moment.
Well, there you see Pierre Puy-Barré warming up his saw. Christoph Geisler waiting on the sidelines to get his saw in position and warm it up. It has to be warmed up between these two glass sheets because so many things can happen. Chain can fly off, parts can be thrown away from it. So safety-wise, it has to be done between these two glass partitions. You'll see the different motors that are in effect here. Most of them are the Rotax motors, which is a rotary motor, but I did hear a Wankel motor running earlier on. I asked you, wow, that's deep. Is that a Wankel or a Rotax? And you're like, that's a Wankel. I gotta be honest, I love the sound of that deep throaty growl from the Wankel motor.
I do too, and you'll be able to pick it out right away.
Immediately. So as Floaty said, these machines are beasts, 35 kilos heavy in most cases, and yeah, these guys getting their saws warmed up quickly. Before we get going on stage here, Christoph Geisler with his quick warm-up run. Arkadiusz Drozdek, Pierre Puy-Barré will be in heat number 1. Emil Hansen, Christoph Geisler in heat number 2. Danny Martin, who's always very, very good in this discipline, will be in heat number 3 with Ferry Swan. Interesting to note that the only nation with 2 athletes still in the mix is Sweden, and Sweden also leading in the overall standings at the moment with 55 points as we head into the hot sauce. So it's going to be a very difficult task for the other athletes to catch up to Sweden. There
I told you it was going to be loud. Make sure to wear your earplugs.
I can imagine a dragon sounding like that, screaming at another dragon, you know, in the air.
And very impressive. 25.5 Ks, at least. This one looks even heavier. So this is where the warm-up happens before the guys get on stage for the final competition of the day, the hot saw.
All right, so as you saw, Floaty was right there with the warm-up and the noise with his earplugs in. Luckily, we're in our little studio, kind of protected from that noise, but even in here, it is incredibly loud. These machines are so loud, so heavy, so powerful, it's unbelievable, and it is the maker or breaker. Let's check out the tool and discipline here for our hot saw. These custom, handmade, race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification. So 2 more hot saws to be warmed up before we get into our competition. Before that, let's take one last look at what we can expect from Sweden at Gothenburg in our World Championships, where we'll also have hot saws in action. I can't wait for the World Championships in Gothenburg. It's going to be so awesome, and we're going to see Emil Hansen there representing Sweden. In the meantime, hot saw here today at the European Nations Pro Cup 2022. Arkadiusz Drozdek will be going up against Pierre-Puy Barret in Heat 1. Emil Hansen, who I just mentioned, going to be in Heat number 2 with Christoph Geisler and Danny Martin, always solid on the hot saw. In Heat number 3 with Ferry Swan, and I've just hit puberty again, time to change. So, hot saw is up, and it looks like we might have our first athletes on deck any second now as the last hot saws are getting warmed up in behind the stage where Marcus was earlier on. Check out that season's best record, 4.62, and a world record, 4.62. So that is a time to beat at the moment. In our first heat, Arkadiusz Drozdek going up against Pierre-Puy Barret. A couple of guys with plenty of experience with these instruments in hand. There you can see Arkadiusz, personal best of 7.80. A lot of running back and forth going on here. There's a bit of a marathon happening backstage as Arkadiusz is racing to get something. I'm not sure what, but it gives Pierre-Puy Barret time to mark his guidelines on that block and get himself set up. So what will happen is the saws were heated up and warmed up backstage. They will have another opportunity to start the saws here on stage to get them warmed up one last time before a cold start. Now, cold start is a bit of a dumb way of calling it, right? Because the saws are warmed up. But what that means is they have to turn the saw off, prep everything, rewrap the starter cord, and then on go, they have to start the saw from scratch, more or less.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
So a couple of, I'm not sure these guys, I don't think these are their saws. I think these are saws on loan from BJ Events. I'm not 100% sure because they're pretty much exactly the same saw.
That could be.
Because I saw there's a whole table full of saws down there, and I'm not sure if that's just because the athletes put them down there to have them serviced or checked.
30 seconds.
So no, if an athlete does not have his own, he's allowed to borrow one for this event.
All right, so that means you could borrow one from another athlete or from a supplier like BJ Events.
That's
for
right.
instance, if they have some, it seems like they do have quite a selection. If you're here live, that's an opportunity for you to check out the different pieces of equipment that are being serviced for these athletes, including the hot saws and the stock saws.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your
Don't blink,
timber.
folks. Don't blink.
3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, that's a good cut by Puy Barret. Personal best of 5.83. Drozdek was really taking his time, had a cutout, had to go back and cut again. He did do a third cut, but they stopped the time for him, and then it kept running in the background. Arkadiusz Drozdek with a 12.61. I'm not really sure he had a cutout. I didn't see it as a cutout, but Puy Barret dropping a 5.83 personal best, a fantastic time for the Frenchman. Did you notice?
Yes, I did.
You
it was
did.
the second cookie
Okay,
that
gentlemen.
he cut out on.
On the upcut.
Good.
All right, so Drozdek did have a cutout as seen by Yolanda. Let's watch this here. Pay attention here on the left-hand side of your screen.
Both very quick, so that was. There you go on the up.
There
yeah.
it is. Good eye, Yolanda. So Arkadiusz noticed it. He still had plenty of room there, so he went back and did a second downward cut. Now, my question is, are they required to do an additional cut downward, or could he theoretically make an upcut to save a bit of time?
He could have made the upcut, but the
Risk.
chances are that you cut too big, it's too small, so
Cut
he did a
over the line,
safety
yeah.
and did another down cut.
All right, heat number 2 in the hot saw here. Emil Hansen going up against Christoph Geisler. Emil Hansen, this kid is unbelievable. He continues to show the gumption of a guy who comes out of the rookie ranks not too long ago. I think he, end of last year, finished his rookie career, and this year has had a full season as a pro. Typically, you're not seeing these guys join the pro ranks and become this good this fast. So, like what we're seeing with this new generation, with Marcel Steinkemper, with Oliver, and with Emil, you've got dudes that are absolutely ready to go, dedicated to the training and the sport from the very get-go. In a lot of cases, they are growing up with the sport as well, so it's an advantage. And here we're going to get to see that Wankel motor in action, or rather hear it. Uh-oh. Emil Hansen has to rewrap that starter cord to restart that saw. It didn't. Oh, now it's there.
There we go.
Just an absolute beast. The sound alone would make me nervous in the other stand, ready to cut with my my rotary engine. Unbelievable.
30 seconds.
And again, these guys wearing the spiked shoes. Oh no, I didn't get to see Christoph Geisler's golf shoes.
We'll have to see, maybe.
There they are.
There they are. There they are. The snazzy shoes.
The snazzy shoes. Fantastic. Interesting choice. Old school Vegas golf shoes. Maybe they're lucky.
Maybe.
Maybe he played a good round of golf in them one time, won a few bucks, and decided to wear them for timber sports. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Cut out by Emil Hansen. He's going to go back and cut another one. Christoph Geisler with a 5.56 personal best. Emil Hansen anyway with a 6.45 after the cutout, went back and cut another cookie. Does he have a cut over the line is the question, though. And that could be the difference maker. Christoph Geisler with a fantastic time, and so far that's 2 personal bests by a couple of legends.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Oh, wow.
Holy smokes, folks. 8.96 for Emil Hansen after having to cut a third cookie. That's an incredible effort by him. Christoph Geisler with the lucky golf shoes and a 5.68 personal best. Great job. Let's see again here. So this is the first cut by Emil on the left-hand side.
It was a little choppy for the saw to get started.
Heavy big cookie. Here is the cutout on the upcut. He got a clean cut on the down. Very cookie. Close on that. Not a lot of space to make that final cut, but he did pull it off. Meanwhile, Christoph Geisler stayed steady, controlled, calm, and cool, and collected for a 5.68 personal best. And now, moving on to Danny Martin, our final heat of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll accumulate all the points between the rookies and the pros, and we'll tell you who is our Nations Cup winner for 2022. At the moment, Christoph Geisler is atop the rankings for our pros here for Switzerland. Emil Hansen sitting in second place. Ferry Swan is in fourth place, but has yet to cut, and Danny Martin has a good opportunity to add some good points with a good cut here. And we know that Danny Martin is always very consistent with these cuts. Also, I'm looking at that bar, and the teeth on that chain are insane.
Yeah, you can't buy that chain in your general hardware store.
There's nothing about that machine other than maybe the handle that you can buy in your general store where they sell the various chainsaws.
Warm up your saw.
So far, so good for both of these guys. No dead starts on the warm-ups. Danny Martin knows that machine inside and out. He's been using it for a couple of years now. I think he's got a couple of them, but that's his favorite. I think he's got a couple. I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling he has 2.
Bet you he won't tell you if you ask him.
Probably not, but I'm going to ask Pierman how many axes you have.
Athletes, ready.
All right, last seat of the day, folks. Here we go. Danny Martin, Ferry Swan.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my! 4.92 for Danny Martin. That is a personal best right there. Just checking the hot saw. 4.62 is the world record from the United States. He was ever so close. Could be we have a time change with adjustment. That was a fantastic cut from Danny Martin. Holy smokes.
Oh, and it changes.
Danny Martin gets a 4.87. Ferry Swan with a 5.83. That's 4 personal bests in hot saw today. And how close did he get to the world record? Oh my God.
This is when all that training pays off.
Both cuts are good.
It's official. Another personal best goes out the window for Danny Martin. Ferry Swan also with a personal best 5.83. Fantastic effort. What a way to finish the day here today. Oh, wow. Let's look back at that slow-mo. These guys were tied up here. Look at this.
That's not even slow-mo right there. It's so quick.
That first cut, both of them were dead even. Barely any downswing by either of them on the second cut. Ferry Swan struggled a little bit on his third cut, but Danny Martin, like I said, super consistent with that saw in hand. So good with it. Fantastic cut by Danny Martin. Look how excited he is. Another personal best, and Ferry Swan the same thing. He's jumping up and down like a frog on fire after that cut. What a great job. Congratulations for personal best for Danny Martin, Christoph Geisler, Pierre Puy-Barré, and Ferry Swan. And now Marcus Float is with Danny Martin in a new
immer
PB.
auf der Suche nach der persönlichen Bestzeit. Es ist geglückt. How about that?
Ja, phänomenal. Ich kann es kaum glauben. Es war genau die gleiche Zeit, wie Robert letztes Jahr den Weltrekord geschnitten hat. Also der Pappel-Weltrekord, man muss es einfach so sagen. Ich bin überglücklich. Ja, weiß nicht mehr, was ich sagen soll. Ich denke, man hat gesehen, was in mir war und was ich rausgelassen habe.
Absolut. He's a little lost for words. This is the time he was trying to achieve, especially with this kind of wood. And yeah, he's just happy, as you can see.
Ich möchte gerne jemanden danken, den Stefan Grübelbauer in Österreich, der bei Rotax arbeitet, der mir sehr geholfen hat. Der Chef, der mir die Ketten gemacht hat, und Basting für das Schärfgerät, um die Kette noch schneller zu machen. Einfach nur geil.
So it's many people that need to work together to make this possible, but you're the athlete that just did it. Congratulations.
Danke.
Back to Yolanda and of course back to Troy. We're getting ready for the winners ceremony. I'm off. You take over.
Thank you, Marcus. Awesome. What a fantastic run by Danny Martin to get that personal best.
Unreal.
He mentioned the difference between the cuts here. So the USA cut was done on pine, and poplar is slightly harder than pine. So it's a bit of a kniggly subject, but yeah, we can talk about that on other days. 4 personal bests in our hot saw today. Hardly ever see that with Danny Martin, Christoph Geisler, Pierre Puy-Barré, Ferry Swan, all getting personal bests under 6 seconds by a stretch in the case of Danny Martin. Emil Hansen with an 8.96, and Arkadiusz Drozdek with a cutout getting the 12.61, unfortunately for him. Final results means that Danny Martin wins this one with 70 points. Christoph Geisler in second place with 67 points. Ferry Swan will have the bronze medal here today with 64 points. Look how close those points are between the guys. Puy-Barré, Emil Hansen, and Arkadiusz Drozdek rounding out the remaining 3 guys of the top 6 here today. And that means we'll also be able to take a look at the Nations Cup results. So final results, Danny Martin on top, Christoph Geisler, Ferry Swan, Pierre Puy-Barré, right down to the bottom of our list with Szymon Groenwald. And hopefully we'll get the Nations Cup results once the times from the rookies and the pros were combined. And there you have it. Team Scandinavia with a solid showing here today. Points combined between the two for 13.50 points. Germany in second place. In second place with 10.50 points, in Poland, who were dominant last year, in third place here today with 9.25, tied with France in fourth place, and Switzerland in fifth, and sixth place goes to Italy today. So a really good showing for the Scandinavian side. As you see, you know, they've got a lot of really top quality athletes coming out of the northern countries in Denmark and Norway and Finland and Sweden. So I think we're going to see some really challenging times for the other athletes competing against them down the road. Poland, of course, always in the mix. They were dominant last year. This year, on the podium in third place, but a very good job. And Germany, nicely done to end up in second place today behind a very strong Sweden or Scandinavian team. So now we're just waiting for our athletes to come up on stage, and we're going to have everybody on stage all at the same time, our rookies and our pros, and I'm guessing that's going to mean like 800 bottles of champagne.
Oh, yeah.
That means everything's going to need a wash after this. The equipment, the stands, the athletes, the clothing, the saws, everything. So hopefully it's not too much of a disaster up there. Any thoughts from you, Yolanda, about what we've seen today?
Just incredible just to see those personal bests just in the hot saw alone.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's unreal.
All right, so now we're heading up onto the stage where we see it's ready, and there, yeah, okay, there's, what do we got, 12 bottles of champagne, so yeah, that'll do to keep everybody well soaked as we head up to the stage for our awards ceremony, and we'll bring all our athletes up on stage from each of the top teams. All right, just waiting for the final preparations. It looks like everything's good to go up there. I see Eric Rettemoser coming on stage to guide our athletes and crew into place. Of course, we want to say a big thank you to Spike Milton, Schul Janssen, Ruud Meijer, Nout van Leer, and Bart Janssen, our judges and competition control center crew, of course Spike being the global sports director for STIHL TIMBERSPORTS. They've played a major role in today's activities. And all the nations that participated today, Italy, Poland, Sweden, Denmark, France, Germany, Switzerland. Absolutely fantastic. So bringing out our first team, Andrea Rossi, Michael Delpine, Miki Perrin, and Nicola Trecarici. Yeah, I just wanted to say the last name properly. I was just going to damage it again. Next up, Team Switzerland coming up with Pierman Gnedinger, Christoph Geisler, Sean Oesch, and Niels Rölli. That's a great logo. I like that logo. Phantasmagorical. Tons of applause from the audience for the Swiss team, of course, as the home team. Next up, we're going to have France. We see Guillaume Bord, Pierre Puybarret, Loïc Voisin, and Vincent Roussel. And as you see, with the European Nations Cup, we have 2 pros and 2 rookies competing for overall points. And here's where we see, after the battle, the camaraderie comes out and the guys really supporting each other, handshakes all around. And I mean, you've experienced this yourself, especially among the ranks of the women. That support is so necessary in a 3-percenter sport where, you know, you need as much help as you can in all aspects to get better.
It is, and they're a giant family out there.
Yep. Jacek Groenwald, Arkadia Strosdek, Szymon and Mikołaj Groenwald. This is a family affair in a big way here.
It sure is.
With Uncle Drosdek being the fourth man out, but 2 pros, 2 rookies, and Szymon Groenwald, I don't think it's going to be too long before he's going to be destroying the rookie ranks and has to go into the pros. So that is 3rd place overall in the Nations Cup. Poland was dominant last year, as I said, but this year staying consistent and ends up on the podium in 3rd place, the bronze medal position. Ah, the trophy's a cowbell. Ha, cool.
Loving that.
That is awesome.
Bet you none of them have one of those at home.
If I did, my son would be running around the house ringing it all day long just to make us go bananas. All right, Team Germany in the silver medal position, and that is a fantastic result for them. Danny Martin, Marcel Steinkemper are 2 pros, and Steinkemper only just joining the pro ranks this year. Denny Vielwert and Tim Anthofer are 2 rookies, and as I mentioned, Denny Vielwert will for sure be joining the ranks of the pros very, very soon. He is a quality athlete. Tim Anthofer, we saw some very big things out of him today as well, so good signs for Team Germany down the road. Great effort by Team Germany to take the silver medal here today at the European Nations Cup 2022. All right, and now our gold medal team. They were strong from the get-go. It is Team Scandinavia with 3 members from Sweden and 1 member from Denmark. Emil Hansen, Ferry Swan, Edvin Karlsson, and Espen Petersen. So I have a feeling that 12 bottles of champagne on stage is going to be more than enough to have a good soak as our Scandinavian team steps up onto the top deck, the middle position, the gold medal position, and that is a great result for them. Fantastic across the board. Oh, jumping the gun a bit on the champagne shower. We're going to hear the Scandinavian national, or the national anthems for Sweden and Denmark first. for it.
Difficult when you set out those open bottles.
We're setting up for a winner interview. Who are we going to do it with? With one person or all four? Alles klar. So there you see Team Scandinavia, 3 members of the team from Sweden and 1 from Denmark. Proud to represent the northern countries. And I have a feeling that Team Sweden is going to be hard to beat at the Team World Championships when we move over to Sweden with their home crowd advantage and the way that they cut so well today. There's going to be a tough one, but let's not forget we have Australia and New Zealand in the mix who have traditionally been just trading it back and forth between them over the last few years. Right now, Marcus is on stage with our winners. We're going to hear from them.
Have a great time, Team Scandinavia. How did you enjoy Switzerland?
It's really beautiful here, and yeah, now we love Switzerland because we're winning here all the time.
The Danish man in the Swedish team. Are you going to become a Swede now, or are you staying?
No, I will become a Danish. I will still be Danish. Yeah.
What about your teammates?
Yeah,
it seemed like they were like big brothers, huh?
Yeah, they are great. They are some good people, the Swedish guys. Yeah, we like the Swedish people.
We like the Danish guys too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what about the celebration? I haven't heard the cheers that I saw when you were running around with the champagne.
Yeah, I don't know what we are doing now.
We're just enjoying it.
Yeah. So I'm over and out. I'm going to have a big party with these guys. Switzerland makes everything possible. We had a great time. I hope you too, Yolanda and Troy. Bye-bye, and maybe see you later.
Fantastic. What a way to end the day. The Scandinavian team, what a makeup they had. Absolutely amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed it out there. Last words from you, Yolanda?
Take a look at these highlights.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Take care and ciao.